Standing.
You're live.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome you to the regular council meeting of the Village of Ruidoso, July 14th, 2020. If you join me in a moment of silence, and then I'd ask Mayor Pro Tem Rafael Salas if he would bless this meeting, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance and then the salute to the state of New Mexico flag. Please stand.
Let us pray. Our mighty Father, God in heaven, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for this time of community and to be in your presence here for this meeting. We seek your wisdom, we seek your understanding, and give us the courage to continue the works for this village. We pray for those that are sick, those that are feeling ill, that they may recover and be healed by the stripes of Jesus. And Father, we ask you to protect all the frontline workers and all workers, Father, anyone working out in the community, and that you protect them and bless them. Once again, Father, give us the wisdom and conscience of addressing the business of the village so that we may live in tranquility and peace. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. All right. We're still operating in this strange times, and so I'll be glad again once we get back together. We don't have a tremendous agenda today, but we do have some important things we'll need to cover. So we'll get started. And Irma is out today, so we'll ask Bertha to please give us a roll call, please.
Mayor Crawford.
Here.
Councilor Salas. Councilor Salas.
His button's muted, probably.
Here, I forgot to unmute. Here.
Councilor Jackson.
Here.
Councilor Letterman.
Here.
Councilor Cornelius.
Here.
Councilor Coughlin.
Here.
Councilor Eby.
Here.
Okay, thank you, Bertha. And then before we ask for approval of the agenda, I'd like permission to move some agenda items around. We're going to have some special guests come in, and instead of paying them by the minute to watch us talk, we'll get them right on and get to their presentation and move through that. So if we'll get approval of the agenda, please.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the agenda and to give the mayor the flexibility to move items around as needed.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I need to have a second?
Jackson, second.
Okay, Jackson, second. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Councilor Eby.
Aye.
Councilor Jackson.
Aye.
Councilor Salas.
Aye.
Councilor Letterman.
Aye.
Councilor Cornelius.
Aye.
Councilor Coughlin.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. And I'll ask Manager Dodge to keep an eye when those people tune in so I can get to them pretty quick.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I have Phoebe's already on, but Jerry will be calling in.
Okay,
I've asked them to present at 1:30,
okay,
and then Todd over here will be calling me right about 2 o'clock.
okay. Could everybody hear that all right?
Yes.
Okay, okay, we have Phoebe.
Yes.
Phoebe's on now. Jerry will be on at 1:30 to do their presentation, and then at 2 o'clock, we'll get an update from Todd Overview from the hospital. Okay, we'll move on to our consent regular items. We have quite a few today, so bear with me because y'all know how my accent kicks in after about 5 consent regular items. So number 1 is approval of governing body minutes, June 2nd, 2020 workshop meeting, June 9th, 2020 regular meeting, Item number 2 is the ratification of the land lease agreement between Teresa Korn and the Village of Ruidoso for the radio station tower location in Ruidoso Downs, New Mexico, in the amount of $650 per month from July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2022. Item number 3 is ratification of amendment number 1 on real property purchase agreement by and between the Village of Ruidoso, a New Mexico Municipal Corporation buyer, and CIC Limited, Inc., a Texas corporation seller. Item number 4 is ratification of a contract with Patillo, Brown and Hill LLP for audit services for fiscal year 2020 in the amount of $50,701.00. That's $47,000 plus $3,701 in gross receipts tax. Number 5, ratification of litter control and beautification grant agreement number 21-418-6002-00047-00 with the State of New Mexico Department of Tourism and Keep Ruidoso Beautiful for litter control beautification in the amount of $45,280. Number 6 is ratification of intergovernmental grant agreement number 21-624-4000-0068 with the State of New Mexico Aging and Long-Term Services Department for salaries and operational budget items for fiscal year 2020-2021 for the RSVP Community Center Coordinator in the amount of $35,000 even. Item number 7 is ratification of grant agreement with the New Mexico Department of Transportation State Aviation Division to complete the Part 139 markings update at the Sierra Grant Regional Airport in the amount of $170,000 even. Number 8 is ratification of third renewal agreement with HUB Hub International to provide professional insurance broker services for the Village of Ruidoso employees. Item number 9 is ratification of third renewal agreement with Justin Huffman for professional services as Director of Tourism. Number 10 is ratification of amendment number 1 to agreement with Gallagher and Kennedy, PA for professional legal services. Number 11 is a ratification of agreement with Zach Cook, LLC for professional services as General Counsel for the Village of Ruidoso. Item number 12 is adoption of resolution 2020-24, a resolution authorizing disposal of surplus property by the Village Council. Number 13 is adoption of resolution 2020-25, a resolution amending ordinance 2014-06, Village of Ruidoso Personnel Policy, Chapter 4, Positions and Pay, Section 6, Callback, and Chapter 6, Employee Benefits, Section 7, Holidays. Number 14, approval of agreement with New Mexico Department of Transportation for the supply of salt in exchange for snow and ice removal on New Mexico Highway 48 from Ski Run Road to US 70, Highway 70. And yes, people, the weather is going to change and things are going to get better. Item number 15, approval of T-Hanger lease agreement between the Village of Ruidoso, Sierra Blanca Regional Airport, and Lawyers Real Estate Services, LLC for Charlie 13 T-Hanger. Number 16, approval of grant agreement with the State of New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration Local Government Division, Enhanced 911 Act Grant Program to fund the Public Safety Answering Point, also known as PSAP. Number 17, request to schedule a public hearing on August 11th, 2020 for ordinance 2020-05, an ordinance adopting a uniform road naming and an addressing system for the purposes of emergency services, public safety, road names, street signs, and road mapping within the Village of Ruidoso limits, requiring owners and occupants of every house and building in the area covered by the addressing system to display assigned numbers, providing for the severability of parts hereof, repealing ordinance number section 54-146, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict and providing an effective date. Number 18, request to schedule a public hearing on August 11th, 2020 for ordinance 2020-06, an ordinance amending the Village of Ruidoso Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 38, Environment, Section 38-103, Maintenance Standards for Vacant Buildings, to establish fees for permitting of vacant buildings within the incorporated limits of the Village of Ruidoso. Number 19, requesting to schedule a public hearing on August 11th, 2020 for appeal of case number 2020-0289, appeal of application to Jamestown in Tract 1A as a commercial planned unit development zone with site plan and concept approval to include campground with recreational activities within a 5-acre tract.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
before you entertain a motion, I have a question for Judy on item number 13.
Okay, Judy?
Judy, are you there?
I see your desk, Judy. Judy.
Mayor, on this item, I would request that we remove this off the consent agenda and move it to regular item. I believe that there was a change on the holiday pay that we're recommending, so I would request that we move this to regular item and discuss that as a regular item.
Okay, I think that would be good if something changed on that. So I'd like to move item number 13 to regular items. Do I need a motion from anyone else?
They need to approve the whole consent with that amendment.
Okay, so we'll need an approval for all the consent items with the removal of 13 to then move to regular items.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent regular items as read with the exception of moving item number 13 to regular items for discussion.
Okay.
Do you want it to read as number 12?
Number 12.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, roll call, please, Bertha.
Yes, and Michael Salas seconded, correct?
Yes.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Letterman?
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius?
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate it. Now we move to the public input portion of today. Do we have any public input, madam?
No, I checked my emails at 12:50 and we have not received any public input.
Okay. So we will move on to mayoral reports and presentations. And is Jamie here?
Yeah.
Okay. We have another retirement. And this one is by Jamie Gibson. And you all know him. He's the supervisor in the water department. Come on in here, sir. And Jamie, if I can get my information up, has worked with the village since, March 19th, 2004 until July 31st is your last day. Wow, you're getting pretty close, buddy. So his retirement date is, of course, the 1st of August. And so while we're glad that you made it to retirement, and we hope that you enjoy it, we're going to be sad to see you leave because you've been one of the good hands. I know we've had people been out there when the water's been turned off or threatening to turn off, and you were able to make a decision to work with those guys and all the things that you've done in the water department. It's one of our most important departments, but it's one of the toughest that there is. But I want to thank you, and I'll shake your hand. We have plenty of sanitizer around.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service, Jamie. This just says in appreciation for your years of hard work and dedicated service to the community and to the village of Ruidoso. You know, we hope you enjoy your retirement and then all things. And we hope you're not leaving town.
Oh, no.
Okay, that's all good.
Thank you
We
very much.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. And used to, we'd all remember the days when we'd have cake and cookies and stuff like that outside, but maybe next time we'll be able to bring you in and have a reunion of all the retirees so that have gone. But thank you very much. And next is Michael here.
Yes.
Michael Morrow. And Michael Morrow has been promoted. Here he is. Come on in, guys, and they'll get you on the camera right here.
Okay.
Then he's Michael Morrow, and he has been promoted to our assistant fire chief. And he went through a process and was the interim for some time in the interview process, and everybody agreed that we could use more mustache in the front lines. And so we're very thankful that you came in, Michael. You've been around with us for a long time, since 2005. You served as a fire captain, and now then interim fire chief from January, and now it's official. So we appreciate everything that you've done. And is there anything that you'd like to say? Because I know you probably know most of everybody.
I do, and I just want to remind everybody that you got an amazing fire department, and those guys, it sounds corny, but they really are putting their lives on the lines every day, especially in today's world. They're treating those patients, and they haven't backed off of their service one bit, and neither has the police department or the village as a whole. So just proud to be part of it. And it's a different chapter, but still on the team, and I'm proud to be there.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We
Thank you for the
appreciate it.
acknowledgement.
You bet. Thank you very much. Does anybody have anything?
Welcome aboard, Michael.
Thank
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's where they're all at, right up there. Well, that was a good choice. Okay, we're cruising. And really, we don't have anything else. I don't have any board or commission appointments at this time. I know we're gonna need to recruit a few for planning and zoning. There's a few out there that we're still working on, but it's really hard to get out and talk to people. So if you guys know of someone that would want to serve in one of the different departments, and usually the department heads are great about sending people my way, because I like to visit with them first. So we'll move on to the village manager report. So go ahead, Manager Dodge.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, Mayor Council. Good afternoon, public. Today I got several different presentations that are going to occur under my, presentations. But the first thing that I'd like to just talk about, Mayor, is, with the changes that occurred, we actually have a team, our community development team, along with the Parks and Rec Department, has been reaching out to restaurants. We've contacted every single restaurant in town, and we're asking them if we can help them come up with a way of setting up canopies. We've purchased several additional canopies, and we're entering into an agreement, taking a damage deposit on those canopies. We're not charging them because we want to assist the businesses as we move forward. But those are some of the efforts that we're undertaking to help them modify their operational plan and try to keep them in business and try to lessen the impact that this whole COVID and the directives are having on the businesses, on the restaurants at this time. So far, I believe that there's 8 businesses that have signed up, and another additional 8 businesses that are in need of some tents. So we're going to be asking for some additional dollars for tents as well. In addition to that, Ron, can you talk a little bit about what we're looking at as far as the traffic plan and for the Midtown area?
Can everybody hear Tim okay?
I could hear him all right.
Judy says so. So you might have to take your mask off.
No, we're having a hard time.
Him and Joe are muffled.
Hey, you gotta take your mask off.
I'm gonna speak louder.
Ron.
Oh, better.
Ron,
I'm here.
Ron, you want to go ahead and talk about the traffic plan and what we're looking at in the Midtown area?
Mayor Cropper, members of the council, we have discussions with the Department of Transportation regarding doing either a partial closure of Highway 48 through the Midtown District, or being able to close possibly like the two outside lanes. So we've been working with some engineers. We asked for proposals where we could possibly go like from where it turns off to Country Club up to Chase, being able to keep a center lane for the semis that could unload the groceries, UPS, FedEx, have a lane next to it be ongoing traffic, and then being able to come off the curb maybe 6 to 8 feet, use the traffic devices, safety that would lock off those roadways for pedestrian walkways, or being able to have the businesses set additional tables there or whatever, any type of anything they wanted to set there to promote their businesses. So we did receive 3 proposals. Right now, we just wanted to get with council and see if that's something we want to move forward with. The Matt Ingram, he went and surveyed all the businesses within the Midtown District. He had a large support of the businesses that were really appreciative of the village trying to work with them and doing some sort of other alternative modified business plan in order during this COVID-19 pandemic, being able to have more of the pedestrians be able to go have access to there. We'd also have with the crossings, we would work with the state on that. This traffic control plan would go to District 2, where District Engineer Tim Parker would be the one to approve it. So far, we've had a positive response from them, but we do have to have a traffic control plan. We're looking anywhere from $20,000 onward to $50,000 for what we received for preliminary proposals. And I'll stand for any additional questions.
I think our low proposal, Ron, is right about 20,000, not to exceed 20,000. So, if we looked at it, I don't think we'd be going beyond that. Mayor and council, we're going to continue to educate ourselves on this issue, and then we're going to make a recommendation to the governing body. We're not prepared to make that recommendation right now.
Okay.
We just wanted to report that we are working on that. I think our approach has been to look and work with businesses and try to do the best that we can to help them to develop a modified operational plan so that we can mitigate these COVID and the threat that we're seeing from COVID. Can everybody hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay. And I just take off the mask. It's not working with the mask on.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, also regarding this plan, it would be, we'd like to do it long-term. It wouldn't be for a weekend, or it'd be more of a long-term basis and be able to utilize the traffic control and work with Department.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
describe the area again. I heard Chase, but where is it? I'm assuming Country Club.
Yes, it would be from Chase all the way down to Country Club.
Okay, to Country Club.
Correct.
And they've been working with Matt Ingram, and I think Justin Huffman's been involved in it, talking to the businesses to let them know what's coming up and trying to get them to buy into the program, right?
Yes.
What if we were to extend it a little bit to include the Citizens Bank, while the Buttery, Comal, Citizens Bank in that area? That just popped out thinking about that.
Mayor, Councilor, I think we can actually look at that opportunity. There maybe have to be some modifications just because of turning there on Country Club on how that would work. But since there's no businesses on that side of the street, it may not impact them. So I think you're right. I think we can look to go all the way to, just past Citizens Bank, where that entrances that goes up to Winfield.
Yep,
That would probably be a good place to start.
on Chase, yeah.
And yes.
Okay,
Okay, we can
Thank
take
you.
a look at that, Counselor.
thank you.
Moving on, Mayor, with a report. At the workshop meeting, we talked about informing the council as to the processes on instituting the ETZ zone. So I've had Samantha and Zach put together a presentation. Samantha, you want to go ahead and take over? And just Mayor, so I don't use acronyms. ETZ is the extraterritorial zone. It's anywhere from a 5 mile to a 1 mile radius outside a municipal boundaries where there'd be joint jurisdiction between the county government and the municipal jurisdiction. So Samantha, you want to take over?
Yes.
Anytime now.
Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. Can you all see my slideshow?
Yep.
Yes.
How about now? What does it look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, great. Okay, Mayor and Council, we put together this slideshow. It's very brief, just to talk about the procedures for establishing our extraterritorial zoning. There are two ways that the ETZ can be established. The first way is upon the initiative of the governing body of a municipality or the county commission. Here, the municipality and the county enter into an agreement to establish zoning in the ETZ. And the second way is upon petition requesting zoning within the ETZ area. So 25% of the qualified electors residing in the ETZ area would sign a petition and file it with the county clerk. And upon the filing of the petition, the county and the municipality would enter into an agreement to establish the ETZ zone. And then the agreement may be amended from time to time by the municipality and the county. The agreement shall provide for a joint municipal county zoning authority. The zoning authority would consist of one or more members of the municipal governing body and one or more members of the Board of County Commissioners. The authority membership shall contain one more county commission member than the municipal governing body member. Also, the agreement will provide for an extraterritorial zoning commission. The commission shall consist of one member appointed by the municipal zoning authority and the county commission, and at least one half of the ETZ commission shall reside within the ET zone. One member from an area of the county not within the zoning jurisdiction of the municipality or within the area of the county affected by the proposed extraterritorial zoning ordinance shall be appointed by a majority of the members of the ETZ commission. So the appointment of the zoning commission duties, reporting and hearings. The zoning authority within its jurisdiction may act as a zoning commission. They may designate the planning commission to act as a zoning commission or appoint a zoning commission which shall recommend the boundaries of the various original districts, the regulations necessary to enforce the zoning restrictions. The zoning commission shall make a preliminary report and hold hearings on the preliminary report before the report is submitted to the zoning authority for action. The zoning ordinance requirements within the 365 days of the appointment of the last member being appointed, the extraterritorial zoning commission shall recommend to the joint municipal county zoning authority a zoning ordinance applicable to all or any portions of the ETZ area. The ordinance should show the manner in which regulations and restrictions and boundaries are determined, established, and enforced, amended and supplemented or repealed. The agreement between the municipality and county may also authorize the ETZ zoning authority to enact ordinances, regulations, or both relating to the approval and regulations of subdivisions within the ETZ area. The ETZ authority may also modify portions of the comprehensive plan, provided that modifications leave unchanged those portions in the comprehensive plan that are not in the extraterritorial area. So the ETZ ordinance enforcement and administration, a zoning ordinance must be adopted by the joint municipal county zoning authority and shall be an ordinance of both the municipality and the county. The agreement entered may specify whether the municipality or the county shall assume primary enforcement and responsibilities. And the ordinance may be enforced by the appropriate procedures, either by the municipality or the county. and the extraterritorial zoning commission shall administer the zoning ordinance. Appeals of the decision of the extraterritorial zoning commission shall be taken to the joint municipal county zoning authority in the manner provided in the ordinance. And appeals from the decision of the joint municipal county zoning authority shall be taken to district court. So that's just the basic guidelines that were provided by state statute for establishing the ETZ area. Do you all have any questions for Zach or myself?
Man, I know on some of the managers report we normally don't. I would ask that we do accept questions. A lot of these reports that we have coming up, there may be questions that the council.
They can ask them if they want. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Samantha.
Thank you all for your time.
And Mayor and Council, if after you see the presentation, I don't know, it doesn't seem like you have it here, but Samantha, if you can email your presentation out to the governing body, and then if there's any additional questions that you have, if anybody wants to visit with us directly on this, just let us know, and we'll do our best to provide you as much information as possible. Mayor, the next presentation is on the Shoreline Project, Rehabilitation Project. And we got Jerry and Phoebe both on, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Jerry and Phoebe to present. Phoebe and Jerry, who's gonna start off?
It's me, sorry, I'm having, is the presentation
Yes.
showing up? Okay. Apologize there. So thank you, Mayor, thank you, Council, for trying to update everybody on this. And I know Manager Dodge suggested that we give an update of where we are here on the FEMA project. And so that's what we're hoping to do today. And so I'll be starting it off, and then Jerry will talk about some of the work that Mosby's been doing and some of their timeline. We'll follow up with some details on the environmental process that we're ongoing right now. So the most current milestones and updates, just last week, we received approval of the request for time extension from FEMA Region 6. And I just wanted to reiterate that the project worksheets are approved in annual segments. So every year we have to go back for these time extensions. So the approval we got was that the project is approved through June 28, 2021. So another year. And I know that the construction, you'll hear later, may take more than that length of time, but we will go through another request for time extension around May of 2021. All the letters for easements have gone out to property owners impacted by restoration and lift station phases. Mr. Koppler and Zach were the ones that helped with those and helped get those out the door through legal review, and then finally getting those sent to those property owners. We have 10 restoration phase easements, but there are only 7 property owners that mailings went to last week. And this is because one owner owns multiple properties. We have 7 lift station phase easements, and those are 3 property owners. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
So there's 3 property owners there, and again, because one owner owns multiple properties. We plan to have all easements or a pathway forward for all restoration and lift station easements by the end of July 2020, so by the end of this month. And the reason why I frame that there is we still are waiting to hear back from a couple of property owners. But we will have a pathway forward for those that we have not heard back from, and that would be some of the newer property owners that just took over the property in the last 6 months now. And Jerry just confirmed a few minutes ago, Molson Corbin electronically delivered the hazard mitigation phase designs today. And so that's a great milestone in terms of those deliverables related to the hazard mitigation phase, where we need those designs to accomplish the milestone to get our FONSI. I'll speak about that later. Today, now that we've received the electronic copies, we will be submitting those, High Watermark will be submitting those to FEMA, Department of Homeland Security, the Army Corps of Engineers, and the New Mexico Environmental Department today for their review, as well as the next steps in the regulatory process on the environmental permitting and the FONSI determination. Jerry also confirmed that Molson Corbin delivered the temporary easement exhibits for hazard mitigation phase to the village of Ruidoso and to High Watermark today as well. And then I will turn it over to Jerry to speak about the milestones and then some of the scheduling in the next few months.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So Phoebe, I don't know if you can see my mouse on the schedule. Okay, so as I prepared this schedule, the city manager requested that we kind of break it out into define tasks. So we put it under the preparation, in the environmental work, the actual easement acquisition, and then the construction. So the first thing is this week, again, we're delivered the final design plans stamped, ready for construction, along with the temporary easements that are going to the property owners. Within the next week or two, or by next week, we will have the area calculations that the appraiser, if you go down the appraiser, that he will need to start the appraisal of the properties. The easements are going to be, the areas are going to be split out into the existing easements for both sewer and for the river. The river is, in many cases, a prescribed easement of which we defined as the ordinary high water mark. And then from there, we're getting a permanent easement that's going to encompass the structure itself. We're going to construct at these 40 sites. And then we're calculating temporary easements, so we have to have room for the workers to get in and around to build those structures. But after the structures are constructed, the temporary easements will expire, I think, a year after construction is complete. And then there are going to be access easements that are needed to get from basically Main Road down into the river. And so those paths are going to be, those areas are going to be defined. And then we also have areas that you currently have an easement for which you will no longer need an easement, and those are called vacated easements. And so we're calculating the areas for each and every one of these conditions for each and every one of the 125 property owners that are going to be involved. We're going to give that back to the surveyor for him to look at on his survey. But currently, you drop down to the appraisal. That gives the information for the appraiser to start preparing the appraisals for the project. The goal is to get the appraisals in a format where if he gets 4 or 5 done, then we start preparing the offer letters to each one of those. So as the appraiser gets a batch done, he then turns it over to Phoebe and the attorney will make up the offer letters, and those will go out. As the appraiser gets done, the offers will get done. So about 2 weeks after the appraisals are all done, then the offers will all be out. Meanwhile, we can start then after the property owners have had the easements for a couple weeks, and then we'll start meeting with them one-on-one. Also keep in mind that we've met with all the property owners at least twice in the past. Now, on a couple things to know is like the gentleman on Sleepy Hollow, we haven't met with them in the last year and a half. So while some of them have called the mayor, some of them called others, you all, and so as they inquire about, hey, what's going on with this project, we've responded to those calls. But as these property owners starting to get these easements, that's where the phones are going to start ringing, and so that's going to be happening shortly. We haven't identified that there are a number of easements that are going to be fairly straightforward. We're hoping that most of them just sign their easement, and their easement is going to be delivered with an offer, and there's going to be money granted. So that the easements that I described, the existing easements, if they were by prescription, then there's a value that'll be assigned to that. If they're for the temporary easement, there's a value. It's not full market value, but it's a percent of market value. The access easements, the appraiser comes up with these amounts to offer the property owners, and that's something that we don't get involved in as far as how much that's done by Mr. Cannon. And so we're expecting that the some of easements, we expect that there's going to be changes. The property owner will say, hey, can you move that easement over 3 foot and avoid my rose garden, or avoid a tree or a rock or something? And so we're expecting that some of them will want the easement tweaked. It's not a big deal, Buster. We're going to have to go back, fix the easement, and get it back to the property owner to sign. We don't think that's a major issue, but we're kind of prepared to handle those conditions where the property owners think about it, go out in the ground, kick it, and then come back and ask for something minor. So we're thinking there's some that will there can be a change, and then we're looking at some that maybe not be very friendly. And we're going to continue to negotiate with all three, the easy ones, the moderately simple ones, and then the unfriendly ones. We're going to continue to negotiate all the way through the end. If you you line up so Phoebe, I don't know if you want to cover the environmental.
Yes, Jerry, I can cover the environmental. So do you want me to go into that now, or you want to finish yours?
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as the schedule is concerned,
okay,
how that all fits together.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the next slide so we can talk about the environmental. Just to let you know, what I did here is I tried to do a visual so we can all manage expectations and make sure that we know what each step means, and kind of all the boxes that we have to go to get what's called the finding of no significant impact determination, FONSI for short. So today we got the designs from Molzen. We will be sending those out to our regulatory agencies as well as FEMA to continue on the environmental permitting process and on the FONSI determination process. The major decision points, I'll focus on the Army Corps of Engineers and the New Mexico Environmental Department reviews. Based upon ongoing conversations, we meet with them weekly or touch base with them weekly. They've been getting the designs as Molzen has produced them every week since May. So they've been reviewing the designs, been having minimal comments, and the real thing that we're looking at is making sure that we don't have major changes to the original 401, 404 permit application that we submitted over a year ago. And the reason why that's important is because if there's no major changes, it expedites the 401, 404 permitting process. From everything I've reviewed personally, and then talking with Mr. Parrish, Chris Parrish, as well as Davina from the Mexico Environmental Department, there has been no major changes. But I wanted to put it again to manage expectations. Right now, as what I've seen, we look like we'll be on the green path of minimal changes. So therefore, we expect the approval of 41404 permits by mid-August. Those permits will be sent to FEMA Environmental Historic Preservation Office mid to end of August. The FONSI approved related to the information related to the 41404 permits. Now I have a box there because it's determined additional language if no additional SHPO documentation is needed. So if we go back to the bottom, to the bottom area here. So if we follow the green and in August, we have no additional SHPO requirements or documentation from FEMA, EHP to the State Historical Preservation Office, we'll go along that green path and get our FONSI determination by early September, which correlates to Jerry's timeline that he shared on the previous slide. But I did want to just, again, manage expectations. If I don't believe, again, what I've seen, that we have major changes for the Army Corps or the NMED permitting. But if we did, that would then push us out probably another month because we would have a 30-day comment period if we had major changes.
Phoebe, before you move on, I just want to point out that, you know, as you covered this, there's two significant milestones that have been met, and those the deadlines for meeting those milestones were today. The resurveying and then the redesign deadlines were complete today. So the survey's been completed, all that information has been sent over to Molson Corbin. Molson Corbin has taken that information, incorporated into the design, and the design is complete, correct?
That is correct.
So those are two major milestones that we had targeted some time back, and we've moved forward and we've completed those milestones on time.
It was close though, wasn't it?
We have some people that are quite tired.
Yep. So,
But if you get back to the schedule, so the environmental document is complete. Phoebe's sending everything. We've got the 401 and 404 permit review. The SHPO is going to start reviewing tomorrow, or can start reviewing tomorrow. And depending on how quick they get done, it moves on to a 30-day comment period. Now, SHPO could continue to read through the comment period, but by the end of that 30 days, then the FEMA will issue what's called the FONSI, which is the golden document that we've been looking at. So if you move from the green FONSI down to the construction, we have SAK, which is doing the restoration project that's been in suspension since December. So we would then, and we've also communicated with SAK throughout this entire process. We have meetings about once a month. Every time they ask for a meeting, we have an update meeting because we keep them suspended so that they can plan their crews and their construction and when to come back and remobilize here in Ruidoso. And we've tried to manage any additional costs that may be resulting from that suspension. So we've worked through that, all those issues with them in an open communication. Once we give them a notice to proceed, then you can expect that, and we've told them about the 1st of September, and they've said that they would like to move in about the middle of September. So that's where the green starts, and you can get back onto the construction, which is where y'all want to be. We all want to be on their construction. if you go down from, again, from the, if you now go back for the lift station and the mitigation project, the next two construction projects we have as two separate packages. The city manager asked us if we would provide him with advantages and disadvantages of maybe combining them into two separate projects, into one project. Right now, they're two separate projects. And there are some advantages, maybe some, managing two projects is more difficult than managing one. So there are some advantages that could be the benefit. There was some real reasons why they were separated out by FEMA and by the team initially. And those reasons largely went away because of now it's one single FONSI instead of segmented FONSI.
Jerry,
That decision will be made by you all, not by us.
Jerry.
Yes.
So Mayor and Council, the next major decision that we're gonna have to make is, do we want to separate the two projects, or do we want to bid them separately? So it's not only weighing the advantages and disadvantages of bidding them together. I think we need to evaluate the advantages of bidding them separate as well. For instance, if, as we move forward with these easements, we're gonna have 120 some easements. What's the number at now, Jerry?
Yeah, right now I think it's 127.
That we're gonna have to negotiate. So as we're working through that, at that point in time, it may be better to move forward with one project than the other one. And that's just one example. But
right.
I want both Phoebe, Jerry, and Karen to really weigh in and say these are the advantages and disadvantages of both options, so that we have a good idea and we can make a good sound choice as we move forward. So that's going to be the next major decision that we come to. I think I said, I'd like to evaluate that within the next 10 days. I think by mid-August, we're going to know more about the FONSI and when we should be getting that FONSI. And I think that would be the ideal time to make that type of a decision on which direction we're going. So I just wanted to, give clarification to that.
And Mayor, Mr. Dodge, I wanted to also add in there, we're also going to be checking in with the surveyors on the easement preparations for the final letter, or for the letters that will go out for the hazard mitigation. We're going to track that process very closely. We had some difficulties on the restoration and the lift station, but we hope it'll be more efficient on the hazard mitigation because of our subcontractor, or Molson subcontractor Precision being very, very flexible and adaptive to really respond to changes and changes of revisions of their easements exhibits. So we're going to be tracking that every week, and that will also dovetail into this decision of what might be best. Will we be efficient in getting the easements for the hazard mitigation because of the very complex issues in Upper Canyon related to trees and certain property features. But I just wanted to elaborate and support what Mr. Dodge was saying, is that will also go into that discussion.
So if we back up on the construction projects, whether it's one or two, if you look at the earliest we can go to construction, after the FONSI is issued, we would be we'd be in a position to potentially advertise for bids on a $3 million project. We probably wouldn't. We would probably advertise maybe for 4 weeks. On a $20 million project, we'd want to usually advertise for 6 weeks and gives contractors a couple extra weeks to really put a good bid together. On a bigger job, you don't want to rush them, and you want to give them time to put a good number together. So we showed 6 weeks in there, and then we take the bids and we evaluate the bids, make sure all their math was correct. We make sure all their unit prices were not unbalanced, we look at, do a background check on them to make sure that they don't have any complaints with the construction industry division. We check that they've got their contractor's license up to date and their Department of Workforce Solutions numbers up to date. So we do a background check, then we submit a recommendation of award to you all, and then get on your next scheduled council meeting, and then you would award the project. When you look at the green of construction and LSM, I shorted for lift station and or mitigation, or both. That puts us out until the end of the year before we can start construction. So if you back up from that date, and depending on FEMA, another thing is depends on FEMA. Some funding agencies, and they did in the first phase, the first time around, they did allow us to go out to bids without the easements acquired and negotiated with the property owners. If that's the case, then we can advertise for bids right away. We don't have to wait to the end. But assuming that we do go out to bid, we do get it awarded, and you would be obligated to provide them right of entry to those properties on that date. And so if you back up to the easement acquisition on the unfriendly part, there is some decisions that would need to make as far as eminent domain and having that right of entry. In my work with your attorney, Frank Koppler, in the past, that once we have, he writes up his legal documents, he takes the appraisal and the easement, and then he takes a check and he files it with the district court, and that within about 48 hours, you would have right of entry to build this project. Now, the property owner could protest it, and he could have a judicial opinion, or he could even ask for a jury trial to go but they can't stop the project. They can only get more money. And so you can proceed on with the project, with the easements, and they would likely hire their own appraiser to get their own numbers, but they shouldn't be substantially different from what your appraiser appraises it at. And so that's the risk that you have if you want to move forward with the construction. And that's why the red is there. The red is we would have to actually have that eminent domain filed in that period of time so that we can start construction by the end of the year. So that's a schedule. If you all elect to say, hey, we want to keep negotiating with these folks, I know we did that when we did the Malone water line. We kept haggling with that neighborhood association, and it went on for 2 or 3 months, and that was your right, and they weren't the easiest folks, but we ended up getting them to sign the easement, and we went on to construction. So that timeline would depend on how long that you felt like it was worth continuing negotiations. I mean, I think that's always the best bet. I think we have adequate time in there to negotiate, to hear out their concerns, even give them the opportunity to get an independent appraisal and that we can consider. I think there's time in there to negotiate, but there's got to be a date where the village decides to move forward on the project. And so that's kind of laying it out. If we split the lift station project, of course, this timeline would probably, the advertising was short by a week or two, and then we can get the lift station out under construction. If you decide to hold back on the mitigation and do it separately, then it would follow in sometime in the spring of next year in terms of its start date, if that's your decision. But that's kind of laying out the time. So we're looking about the middle of August when everybody's going to be calling the mayor and asking about their easement situation. And so I think the team in place with your attorney to take all that information and the negotiating team can manage all those questions. In the past, we met with them in the field. We called them back, and that process we would work together on.
Jerry,
yes.
Hold on a second. I got another presentation that's coming in a few minutes, and Mayor, I'd like to allow some time for council to ask any questions, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Does any of the council have any questions of Jerry or Phoebe? I'm shocked, but I understand. So do we have anything else? I mean, I know that you guys put a lot of work into it right here at the end to get it done, and we do appreciate that because we do want to keep those milestones coming.
Mayor, and I believe we've been having bi-weekly updates as well on these projects. So if the council, wants to listen in, we'll make sure we get that out. I think we skipped a week because we had fallen into one of those 5-week calendar deals. So we moved back a week. I think our next project meeting is next week. Is that correct, Karen?
Yes, sir. It'll be on the 23rd at 8 o'clock.
Yes, and then that way we'll resume, but, this presentation, because we have items related to the easements, I wanted to make sure that, in public, for transparency reasons, that we had this discussion. And then also to let the public know that, we are, on track with our recent news schedule and meeting the milestones. So these projects are moving forward.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Village
Thank you all.
Manager and Council. Appreciate it.
And
All right,
Phoebe,
thank you.
thanks for your continued hard work, not only on this, but, working with the governor's office on all the COVID stuff. So we appreciate you.
You're welcome, and please feel free, Mayor and Council and Village Manager, please feel free to call me if you have any concerns regarding that as well.
Thank you very much, Phoebe.
You're welcome.
Mayor, I'm gonna go ahead and move to Ron right now to update us on the courts. And then, once Todd calls in, we'll just go ahead and move into, I might ask Ron or give him a hand. When Todd calls in, he's gonna be between meetings. So Ron, can you update us on our efforts with the courts and where we're at, what we're requesting?
Sure can. Mayor Crawford, members of the council, staff along with Zach Cook. We had our bond attorneys from the Monroe Group
Ron,
and our.
we
Hear me?
got Todd.
Thanks, Jim. This on.
Hang on a minute, Ron. Todd just called in.
Okay, I'll wait.
Go ahead, Todd. You're talking to the council and everybody.
Do I now?
You're talking to the council and other folks.
Okay, well, am I supposed to be formal and say this is Todd Overview, Hospital Chief Executive of Lincoln County Medical Center for the record?
No, don't worry about that.
Okay, all right. Anyway, Tim has said that you guys would kind of like an update of what's going on and where we are. And so I will tell you that actually just was informed that we are admitting another COVID patient to the intensive care unit right now as we speak from the emergency room. That will bring us up to 4 COVID patients in the last week. And one we're very pleased to announce has recovered and it's actually was discharged about 30 minutes ago from the hospital. So we're very excited about that. And but we are seeing an increase in the number of positives within even our local community. The reality is we do test some people that are second homeowners and some others, but we are, but for the most part, when you see definitely when you're seeing any positives, I think on the DOH website, those are residents of Lincoln County, and so you can kind of see where that is. And the website actually even identifies the zip code of the individual. If you drill down far enough onto us, you can see where those are. So yesterday we were listed as having 24 positives for Lincoln County. And I would guess that we probably have tested somewhere between, or have received 4 to 6 non-Lincoln County residents that were positive as well beyond that. So that kind of gives you a perspective of what we're seeing as far as the current status from our standpoint.
I think there's something else on that. So far the hospital is going well. Just to give y'all an update on that. Our PPE supplies are good. They're probably the best they've been in a while. We just received a really large shipment. One thing that is going to be changing from our standpoint, Presbyterian is changing this statewide. We are no longer going to be testing asymptomatic patients through our test site. We are only going to be testing patients with symptoms or known exposure. The state and Presbyterian have agreed that asymptomatic patients or asymptomatic individuals need to go through the DOH website and not through the various drive-thrus or by private entities. So that is a change that you'll be seeing from our standpoint. And it mostly has to do with the amount of volume that we're experiencing in our testing. The DOH has a little better line on supplies than we do. And so we're saving ours for those that we know are have symptoms that we need to be, aware of and watching within our communities. And so that is a change that we're doing. So I think that's it. Did I miss anything? I've got my whole admin team in here with me right now. So do you do it? Yeah, well, and I can tell you, so we have had 2 patients that have died in the hospital from COVID. Unfortunately, I will say that both those patients had a lot of comorbidities. They were very sick individuals, and both were, and prior to COVID, and both were DNRs. So they weren't unexpected that the deaths occurred with those 2 individuals. So total we've cared for here is 5 patients. Well, will be 5 once this patient's admitted here at LCMC. So I'll stand for any questions that you might have.
What is your capacity, Todd, there for COVID patients?
Well, so the hospital, the new facility, we have 13 med surg rooms and 6 ICU rooms, so we really have 19 beds that we have available to care for them. We can pretty much handle that. That's not really a problem for us to be able to handle that capacity. If we have to surge, that becomes a little more difficult. One, we do not have actual beds. I think we've got maybe 5 extra beds that we can deploy if we need to. So we would have to have a request from the state to obtain more equipment to be able to do that. We do, as far as the design of the facility, we can double up rooms in this existing facility. We counted that we can go up to 30 med surg beds and 12 ICU beds if we needed to do that. But again, the equipment such as beds, which is really the main issue, and staff, which is the other main issue, would be the 2 limiting factors that we would face. So, but the original capacity of the facility, that being 13 med surg and 6 ICU, we can handle that. We have everything in place to be able to handle that level. So.
Okay, thank you, Doug. So what is your, let's say, average stay for a COVID patient?
Well, that's a good question. And like I said, we're kind of new into this. So the gentleman that we just discharged was here for 7 days. Today was the 7th day. And really, he's our first one that we've been able to discharge. So, it really depends. Fortunately, that gentleman did not require a ventilator. And so far, none of our patients have required a ventilator, knock on wood. And so we've been able, through just medication and support therapies and those type of things, been able to meet their needs and keep them healthy. So, like I said, he's 7. If somebody goes on the ventilator, it's going to be a much longer stay. There's no question. It appears that their patient that ends up on a ventilator with COVID, it's very difficult to get them off the ventilator. So that's one of the things we're not really familiar with yet at this point. So we'll have to watch that. And that is the concern. You bring up a really good point, is the length of stay that we're seeing nationwide with COVID positive patients, specifically if they end up having to have a ventilator, is they might be on that ventilator for 14 days. Well, I have 4 ventilators. If I put one on a ventilator and that's gone for 14 days, I might have 3 more ventilators. But then if you can see how if we don't turn them around like we normally would with a ventilator patient and those type of situations, that we could tap our resources fairly quickly. We do have 2 more ventilators on order. They've been on order since April, but they supply chain and those type of things, there's such a demand going on right now that we have not received them yet, but we do have them on order at this point. So.
Well, hopefully you don't need them there, but thank you for all you're doing there, you and your staff.
I'm sorry, I could just barely understand you.
Oh, I said, hopefully we don't need those ventilators, but
Yeah.
thanks for getting those
No,
on
we
order.
hope not to, but we are glad that we have them. So, and we do have 2 what we call transport ventilators that we use with the ambulance service. If we had to incorporate them, we could look at doing that. But like I said, we're hopefully not going to be put in that situation where we have to do that.
Yes, well, we thank you for all your preparedness, you and your staff.
Thank you. So appreciate everything the village has done. I really do. I know it's been a tough political battle for you guys with some of the rhetoric and things that go on in the community, but I think your leadership has been outstanding. And I think compared to what a lot of other communities have done, you guys really, in my opinion, proved that y'all are leaders in this situation. And so I really do appreciate everything you've done.
Hey, Todd, I'd just like to clarify. So you've got 1 person who checked out today. You're expecting another one checking in today. So how many does that leave at today? How many will be in the hospital? And are those all Lincoln County residents?
We'll have 2. I'm sorry, Tim, was that talked over you there at the end. Go ahead. State your question again.
So how many, given that 1 checked out and you've got 1 checking in, what's going to be the total number of people that are in the hospital for that? And then also, are those Lincoln County residents or a mixture of Lincoln County and visitors?
So we'll have 2 tonight if we don't admit any more that are COVID positive. We do have other patients in the hospital. I think the census is 12 right now.
Yeah.
So total is 12 right now. So, so we'll have 2 positive COVIDs. I do not know the residency of the newest one. The one that's being discharged and the one that is in-house now are Lincoln County residents.
Okay, thank you.
Todd, it's Susan. Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Tell me one more time. Asymptomatic. Give me the definition of asymptomatic.
Well, so what we mean by asymptomatic is there are a lot of people in the community, and frankly, the state has even encouraged this, to come be tested even though you don't have a fever or a cough or you've been exposed, you know you have exposure to somebody who's been positive. And so our resources are just such that if you don't have any of those symptoms, if you don't have a fever, you don't have a cough, windiness or something else, something that seems as a key indicator, sore throat, any of those type of things, then we're going to refer those over to the Department of Health testing site and have them be tested there. If you have any of those symptoms, or like I said, if you have a known exposure to an individual who has tested positive, then we'll do the test here from our standpoint. The other thing that's a bit of a drain on our capacity for testing is really all of our patients that are either going to have a surgical procedure, anything that we consider an aspiration procedure. So that would be if you're having surgery, if you're trying to think what else would fall into that. Some of the cardiopulmonary procedures that we do, anything like that that we believe could aerosolize the saliva of the individual, we're going to test those individuals prior to doing those procedures with them just to protect our staff. So that's using up some of our swabs just by doing them pre-surgery and those type of things. So that's part of the reason why we're, as a system, we're changing from doing the asymptomatic patients to limiting them just to those type of patients. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure, no problem. Any other questions?
Todd, we certainly appreciate all you guys are doing, and if there's anything else that the village can do for you, please let us know so we can step up and do our best to help you out.
You guys, like I said, even just getting us into our new home here, and the village is so important in making that happen. We're just very appreciative of everything you do, because I know we couldn't get through all this without everything you've done for us. And so we'll let you know. Right now, again, we're in a pretty good situation. We're just watching these numbers very closely, and hopefully we're going to turn the tide. I will say this, and y'all probably might not have heard this, the state's transmission rate continues to decline slightly. It's down to 1.1, I was told today. So that's good. We really want to be at 1 or below, so we're getting close to that 1 or below number. So hopefully we'll continue to see that number decline.
Thank you, Todd, and thanks for your partnership and communicating with us as well.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Mayor, let's go ahead and move back to Ron now, and Ron's going to give us an update of where we're at on the courts.
Mayor Crawford, let me take my mask off. Mayor Crawford, members of the council, another project that's getting closer is the Ruidoso Magistrate Court construction project. Yesterday, we had a conference call with our bond counsel. We had our financial advisor, staff, our attorney, Zach Cook, and we discussed a financial option prepared by George Williford with Hilltop Securities. He's the number that he used as a budgetary number provided to him by the Administrative Office of the Courts was approximately about $5,320,000. That would be a debt service for 30-year period. The numbers that he was using with the New Mexico Finance Authority, we'll be looking at private placement or other banking institutions in order to fund this project. The debt option, we have either the pledge, either the lease agreement or GRT as a possible primary and secondary pledging on the debt service. We're going to have a resolution prepared by our bond counsel at the special meeting that's tentative for July the 28th. That will give us an option of how we're going to move forward with acquiring the funding or the financial means to move forward with this project. We had a project timeline that was prepared by the Administrative Office of Courts. Their dates that they're using tentative is beginning construction February of 2021 and possibly having the construction completed by October or November of 2021. We'll have, again, the next special meeting coming up on the 28th is the date that we're looking at. The Administrative Office of the Courts, the facilities manager, and both Katina Watson and Judge Dan Bryant from the 12th Judicial District will provide some additional information. We should have better numbers, better timelines of where we're at with this project. We're getting excited and moving forward and trying to get this project completed also. We feel it's going to be a great project for all of Lincoln County. It'll be a judicial complex that we'll be able to provide as a village. Also will be it'll be our building. It'll be a village asset, and we're looking forward to moving forward with it. And I'll stand for any questions.
Mayor, the Administrative Office of Courts, in accordance with our agreement, was supposed to present this month. It's every other month that they present, but we've asked them not to present today and move it to the special meeting on the 28th.
Okay.
Mayor, Council, is there any questions on the courts?
No.
Okay. The next presentation, Councilor Salas had asked that we do a presentation on the trends on consumption of water and then discharge in comparison to GRT so that we can see some trending. So Eric has prepared that presentation. We've also provided you paper copies of that. So Eric and Judy, if you guys can go ahead and take over.
Mayor Crawford, councilors, I'm Eric Boyda, the Water Resource Director. And I did some last minute changes from the memo that you guys have in your agenda packet. We extended some of the time frame and then we added in some GRT values. But basically what I did is I pulled our daily metered use from our customers, from our cell-based meters, and compiled the data over a couple years. And since we have regular swings of population on the weekends, I did some data manipulation to shift the data to correct it so that all of the same points, or if it's a Saturday, they all line up. And so to do that, so for instance, on June 3rd of 2019, that data point is lined up with June 1st of 2020. And then for June 4th of 2018, again, is lined up with June 1st. So that works pretty good for the weekends. It doesn't work super great for the holidays, which fall on different days. And so we pulled the residential data here, and we can see that there's some general trends that we can easily pick out of this. One, we see in early March, we're pretty consistent with water sales, and then we kind of drop off, and when there was the closures, our residential water sales are generally lower than they were in past years. But then towards the end of April, we start seeing a shift, and we start seeing that residential water sales are generally higher through the July 7th Monday, I believe. When we look at the same data set for commercial sales, we see that same decrease in commercial water sales with the closures. However, we don't see that same uptick of commercial water sales. So generally, there's been less commercial water sales since the outbreaks of COVID-19. And so if we look at those combined, though, during that closure period, we do see substantially less sales for the combined, but as you start getting into the last couple months, we don't really see a consistent trend. It's kind of in line. It's about the same amount of volume-based water sales that we've seen in the past couple years. Interestingly, though, Isaac Garcia provided me with the influent data for the wastewater treatment plant. And again, in the early March, we're seeing that we're staying on trend. But then with the restrictions and closures, the influent to the wastewater treatment plant has decreased. And it's interesting because it's consistently lower now, possibly due to continued reduced activities in other major contributing entities to the wastewater treatment plant, including the Inn and Mountain Gods, the travel center, and the racetrack. So Judy calculated she gave me the chart of the GRT distributions, and we don't have a lot of data for the distributions because there's a 2-month lag in the data. So the March data we received in May, and when we look at the values of the combined commercial and residential for the 3 years, and we plot GRT distributions, it's pretty consistent. We have a little bit of a drop in water sales in 2020, and we have a slight increase in GRT distributions Maybe that's from all the toilet paper sales or something.
Eric,
Yes.
one of the things that I just kind of thought of, I know we talked about this earlier, but when you look at the GRT reporting, it occurs, at one time of the month. And then when you look at the way the COVID hit, it started on the 12th. So the way that when the GRT reporting ends and when the COVID hit, March, you really only had an impact of about half the month. So
yes, and that's true. And in all seriousness, we've been, or Judy's been reporting higher levels of GRT distributions for the whole fiscal year. So there's this slight uptick is kind of a general, is a residual from that general increase that we're seeing.
We also have the known knowledge of that individual grocer who had not been reporting before and who is now reporting, so that might have some effect on it too.
Yeah, and then you also add in the distribution of e-cells as well.
Yes.
That had a slight $7,000 impact. But as you look at the April, then you can see those trends start and the patterns start to, kind of mirror your consumptions, right, Eric?
Yeah, so this is the April consumptions across the years, and we can see that as of right now, the GRT shows a pretty consistent trend with the water sales. So we had a marked decrease in GRT for the month of April. It'll be really interesting to see as we get more and more of these distributions to see, in May and June, we had a pretty steady increase, our recovery, and to see if the GRT is similar or not. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Mayor, it's Rifle.
Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, Eric, this is a very impressive report that you provided, and a lot more information than what I was initially seeking. But you did hit it in your memorandum about, the ball fields, the different things that we don't charge for, but we account for. And I guess the whole purpose when I requested this is that I just kept, hearing people saying that there's a lot of people in town, or, why is it, still charging for more water and stuff. But again, this gives a perfect example of our distribution and our wastewater treatment. But one thing, Eric, going back to, maybe it's a Judy question, if I understood right, as I'm looking at the handout, the March reading for gross receipt tax, that is actually February, or I'm sorry, March's is what month was that collected on?
March was collected in March, but we got it in May. It was distributed to the village in May.
We made the adjustments to allow for the time. Council, we made adjustments to account for the lag time and distribution compared to.
So I'm looking at the actual for that month.
Yes.
Even though we got it in May and June.
That's correct.
Okay. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And just for clarification on that, March collection is distributed in May, and then April and June. It's a 2-month lag time. Collection compared to distribution. Okay. Is there any other questions on that trending? Oftentimes, you can see in the other numbers that, I'd eventually like to pull in our solid waste tonnage numbers, because that's another indicator that you can see on consumables that occurs, and this type of a report really tells us up front how the economy is performing. You know, if we wait for the GRT distribution, it's hard to make those just based upon the distributions themselves because they're lagging 2 months. It's hard to make those predictions out. So oftentimes you use these type of indicators to make those type of predictions or estimates.
Anecdotally, I've seen the recycle go way up. You know, over at the Boys and Girls Club, we've had to request just an automatic pickup twice a week on cardboard where it used to be once a week. And then the plastic is every week where it used to be every couple of weeks. So people are recycling a lot more, which is good.
Mayor and Council, if there's no other questions or discussions on that item, I'd like to go ahead and move on to the grindstone presentation. You know, there's been some major modifications and adjustments that we've had to make. In addition to that, the staffing levels at the Alto and the staffing levels at Grindstone, I just wanted to show a report that demonstrates the money that we're actually receiving, cost associated with that, and then how we've modified the operational plans to demonstrate that we are operating safely, and even with the reduced numbers, it's still been financially viable. So, Rodney?
Good afternoon, Mayor Crawford and councilors. Thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to update you on the Grindstone Lake operations. So this year has been an interesting summer. During this presentation, I'll update you again on some safety concerns that were addressed, how we moved through the summer from just drive up to an online reservation system, how we've incorporated Ruidoso safe practices into the operations. And then again, we'll review the expenses, the revenue, some interesting feedback we got on the summer, as well as the local days and how we're handling the health orders as they come up and change. So once we started the beginning of the summer, which was Memorial Weekend, it changed week to week, and we were experiencing very high visitor numbers even without the water park. And so some issues that we started seeing from the onset were, you know, with the limited parking capacity at the lake, we started seeing the on-street parking that we had witnessed last year. We also witnessed people trying to access the surrounding neighborhoods to gain access to the lake. We had pedestrians walking along the roadways because at some points they were parking up to like 3/4 of a mile away. We've seen overcrowding at the lake, and as a result of all of that, the customer experience wasn't quite what we hope to, you know, express or to have in our village parks and lakes. So again, I mentioned that, you know, things really moved pretty quickly, and from week to week, we were outpacing the previous week, and we got to really very high numbers. I estimate that we had upwards of 700-800 vehicles on some weekends trying to access the lake. And so to try to minimize the issues we were having with our neighbors and, you know, try to improve the conditions and safety of our visitors, we went to a reservation system after about 4 weeks. We went to a 300 car limit. We provided a local registration option with a local priority. They have access to the reservation system from Monday through Wednesday evening, and then we allow visitors to access the reservation site at Thursday at midnight through the weekend. And just as a point of reference, we have yet to sell out all of our reservation spaces to locals. So when visitors are trying to get on, there still is available space, even for Saturdays, which has been our typically our highest visitor day. Again, the numbers, since the inception of the reservation process, the first weekend was a little low with reservations, in that it was new and we had to create an awareness. And so the numbers were about half of the capacity at the onset. However, we did still work with people that were driving up. And so that's a little misleading, is we still were at capacity, even though we didn't have the prior reservations. We worked with people as they were driving up to help them get online. We had tablets available. We worked with them as they're waiting in line to create accounts and make a reservation. We also provided locals with the opportunity to purchase season passes. And with that $20 season pass, you still had to go online and make a reservation. You just had to enter a discount code at the checkout once you went to checkout. We also offered a free locals day on July 3rd to local residents. We had around 150 vehicles take advantage of the free parking reservations. We had overwhelmingly positive feedback from the free day, as well as after the first week of the reservation system. We did realize at the time we needed to create additional awareness and get the word out. And so we sent out a survey to the first week of persons that had made reservations. And again, we had overwhelmingly positive feedback. People, they noticed that staff was very helpful. They noticed that staff was always wearing masks, and they enjoyed their trips. And so they enjoyed their visits to the lakes, which prior to that, I had visited with quite a few people that weren't quite having the experience they expected due to the high number of visitors. So during this time, we have also incorporated the Ruidoso Safe practices into our lake operations. And so all of our employees are required to wear the mask. They've been very religious about that. We inform our visitors. We have placed information on their actual parking pass. We have placed information on the reservation site with all of the current health orders and directives. We've placed signage as you're entering the lake and around the lake with information about wearing masks, about how we're providing hand sanitizer, and again, with the current health orders. We also provide that information whenever we receive calls into our office. We have had a pretty high volume of phone calls throughout the summer, especially as it gets closer to the weekend or the current health orders change. We have hand sanitizers that we have, again, we added them in Midtown, as you're aware, and we added them in our parks where we were seeing high visitor numbers, which was Two Rivers Park, and we've installed them around the lake. And just as a interesting number, we've put out about 80 gallons of the hand sanitizer since the beginning of the summer so far in all of the parks in Midtown and at the lakes. So as far as our expenses go, for the overtime for the lake operations, up until for fiscal year 20, up to the end of June, we have expended $12,347 in overtime. That's really the only expense we've had this year, outside of one-time expenses for some additions to the dock and the ongoing projects with the concrete, the landscaping, and the pavilion. So the revenue that we've collected this year, which includes revenue from parking, from the reservation system, from boat permits, and the concessions at Grindstone, the total that we have collected year to date is $154,000. We've collected $42,000 from concessions, which is already double the amount that we collected last summer. We've collected $9,000 in boat permits. We've collected over $86,000 in just the daily and annual parking permits, and that's persons that drive up and pay through the reservation system. We've collected $16,000, again for a total of $154,000 in revenue. So again, through the summer, you know, we have surveyed our customers a few times. We have kept up with Facebook as we put promotions on Facebook. We have, you know, there are mixed feelings about use of the lake, but the people who have taken advantage of the reservation system, again, the feedback has been positive. Our park staff has been very busy. Even though we haven't had our regular activities, we've been busy with Alto Lake, Grindstone Lake, and in particular, Two Rivers Park on the weekends. We have had multiple departments volunteer to work at these stations as well. And so it does help our staff, and they're not having to work every weekend, and everybody in the village is contributing to the operation. We've had people from just about every department in the village work on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays with the lake operations. Again, we hosted a local day at Grindstone, and we have had several volunteer cleanups. As you all are aware, we had some persons at the beginning of the high visitor numbers volunteer and make it known on Facebook that they were going to clean up lakes. Our Keep Cardoso Beautiful director, T-Bone David Tetrol, has been present at each one of these cleanups, and he's provided the volunteers with gloves, trash bags. He's collected all of the bags, and he's also using the number as support for his grant. But again, we've had ENMU, we have the Midtown Mountain Campground, some other groups as well. I cannot recall the names, but there's been several cleanups through the summer this far to help us patrol the trash at the lakes. So again, as we get updates on the current public health orders, we review all of those orders with staff. We update along with the our tourism department. We're disseminating that information. We utilize the information they provide to us to get out to the public. Again, we add it to our reservation site. We use it as we're taking phone calls. We inform people at the ticket booth as they're paying at the lake. And again, phone calls, I would like to restate, for the month of June and July, we've had well over 4,000 phone calls. We have also altered our answering service at the office that does answer some of those questions that people call, and in case people call on the weekends or evenings when we're not in the office. I will stand for any questions that y'all may have about any of the operations or anything else.
Rodney, it's Susan.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say, Tom and I went up to the lake last night, and it just looks really, really good. You've done such a wonderful job, you and your Parks and Rec, all of the people, and I just want to commend all of you for your hard work, and the lake just looks beautiful as far as all of the new things that are going on, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, and I will pass that along.
Hey, Rodney, this is Tim. One of the criticisms that I've been seeing on social media by some of the naysayers is that we are in it just for the money. And from your expenses and revenue report, it shows all the revenues, but then when you get to expense, you're only showing your staff overtime. The reality is that there is a lot more expenses that went into it. For instance, our seasonal staff, where they would normally be working at the pool or the Wibbit, we've brought them on to continue helping out throughout the summer. So it's not all about the money. I mean, there's definite expenses that go into this, and we're constantly reinvesting back into it. But I just want it. If one of those people that's really looking for stuff looks at this report and goes, "See, I told you, it's all about the money. See how much money they're making," but you don't even begin to scratch the surface as far as the total expenses you have with the many people that you have that are working so hard throughout the summer trying to keep everything running.
You're right, Councilor Coughlin, and our regular hours per se that we have staff out there at the lake, we have altered that pretty substantially. We have parks personnel visit our lakes 7 days a week. I had kind of thought that our weekday numbers would be lower, but they have continued, to be high. We've had high visitor numbers, and so we're out there 7 days a week picking up trash, maintaining restrooms, picking up litter on the grounds, and just generally patrolling. And so, and you're right, those numbers are not reflected in this, but we have had to make a substantial adjustment in the way we're operating. Some of these overtime numbers that are included also reflect the hours at Alto Lake. And using that lake for an example, we don't charge fees there, but we are there doing the same, performing the same services of picking up trash, cleaning restrooms, and directing traffic. And again, it's for the safety of our visitors, as well as ensuring that they have an enjoyable visit. And, I would agree with you that, on those comments about, just being all about the money. I mean, that's an example. I feel if we were all about the money, we would have kept our visitor numbers at 700 vehicles a day. But, to address the issues and be good neighbors and all of that, I think the reservation system that we implemented has been, just a tremendous. And I believe, cutting your visitor numbers in half, and, from when we had the 600, 700 vehicles entering the lake, and when we cut it down to the 300 vehicles, the numbers are just slightly off on the amount of revenue that we're bringing in. And so, I think people are still, because there are a few numbers, they're still visiting the concession. They're still renting kayaks and boats, and I think they're having a much better time. And I think we're going to see a lot of return visitors because of that.
Well, not only that, but the residents in the surrounding neighborhoods. And I've been hearing from a lot of those, the changes that the village has taken to help protect their quality of life is greatly appreciated all the way around. And again, that all takes work, manning the checkpoints and things like that. So hats off to everybody who is working. It's one of those things that who would have guessed, I've been in Roswell the last couple of weeks. It's not Texas, but it's been pretty darn hot. And I'll tell you, now I know why people want to come here. It's miserable. And you come back here and it's 20, 30 degrees lower. So I understand why they're coming, but with everything else being shut down, there was nothing for them to do. And they just overwhelmed all of our resources. And like I said, who would have thought? And, I think the way that we had many conversations and the way that we reacted to the needs, I think we need to hold our heads high. And you're going out on a high note.
He's not going anywhere. Thanks, Rodney.
Thank you, Mayor, councilors.
Mayor, Council, we also provided a pretty detailed manager's report, but, I think I've gone on for like an hour and 15 minutes on reports and presentations this month. So I'll stop here and stand for questions if there's any questions that the council would like to ask.
Hey, Tim, I just had one question in the manager's report. I saw there was about a 1 week period in June when we were taking some of the green waste to Green Tree Solid Waste instead of to I always forget the name, Sierra Contracting. Can you explain why that took place?
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Coughlin, I can answer that question. Jerry Parsons is still off. He's getting better. There were some issues at Sierra Contracting where they do dump hadn't been cleared out and it was full. So we had a contract in place with the Green Tree just to help us. They're willing to open on the weekends and other times to be able to accommodate us so we could take the yard waste over to Green Tree. And that was the main concern. He said his driving over there was not very good. And taking it to the property there at Green Tree worked out a lot better. Okay, great.
Mayor, Council, one of the things that we may do is add a graph so visually everybody could see the increase in green waste and solid waste. But over the last few months, we've actually seen quite a bit more green waste and solid waste coming into the department. Ron and I have been going out and driving the neighborhoods to find where there may be problem areas, but a lot of people have been cleaning up their yards and getting rid of excess materials and things of that nature as well. So we've seen big impacts on the solid waste department.
Okay, anything else?
I have a question for Manager Dodger, whoever it pertains to there. As far as the radio station, I noticed that you're saying you're accepting sponsorships for different programs. Also might be available for commercial ads for 15, 30 seconds. So I just wondered a little bit of history on that. And then also, is there any kind of issue with competing with local radio stations?
Mayor and Council, the way that the radio station was set up and, according to the FCC rules, there's a couple of different ways that we could have gone about it. We could have gone on what people think of as traditionally a public radio station, or and that has certain allowances for the way that you do business, or we could have gone with an enterprise fund. And through the process, that's what we decided to do, is go towards the enterprise fund. And then that way we can sell ads, we can operate like a normal business would or radio station would. So
self-sustaining, but just to comment on the competition part of it, we're just playing a type of music that is really just shelf music. We're not competing with the country western or any of those type of things. What we're providing is all about Ruidoso, Lincoln County, the surrounding communities information. We're still developing programs in the morning to talk about all things Ruidoso, things that our PIO can update. We're talking about fire alerts. And then our goal is to get where we do have a standard listening audience that listens to the programming about Ruidoso, and hopefully they'd leave the music on, but it's pretty, I don't know how to put it. It's easy listening, very easy listening. Stuff that we have on there, and we picked that so that it wasn't really competing with anybody else in the community. So it's really not our intent to come out and do it, but we want to deliver a quality product. So we're working on getting the information, everything about Ruidoso. We're doing some historical shows, talking about local legends and history and projects, and I've gotten a lot of very positive feedback from people that it's just a way they can tune in, and then we can talk about specific things that we're doing that is very informative, and so far it's very appreciative. But we lost that local flavor when Harvey T died, and then when 1490 and those guys moved out of town, and then we don't really have a local newspaper so much. And this is a way that we can hopefully talk about community and hopefully get people calmed down and turning off their national news. So that's kind of where we're at.
Sure, appreciate that. That clarifies a lot, and I know this is going to be a great asset. I just didn't want to have the other radio stations having, to say a negative feeling about that we're in competition. But this really should be more about the community than it is. So we all put it together, and I didn't realize the enterprise fund.
Right.
That's the approach we were going there. So.
Yeah, and I haven't heard from any. I mean, I've heard from the other radio stations. They've been very encouraging and helpful. In fact, I'm on their radio stations usually once a week. The other station, and he always wants me to give a plug for that because we have time to just talk about local issues. So, okay, does that answer everything?
Thank you.
Is there anything else? Anybody else for the manager? Okay, we'll move on to reports from municipal officials. And
We actually have an update on capital project.
Judy, I mean, we just gave that with Phoebe.
Oh, so
Yeah.
that was Phoebe
Yeah,
as
that was
well?
Phoebe.
yeah, Phoebe and
That's fine. I'm just going with that.
okay, well, we bounced around the.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, and now we'll move on to reports from municipal officials. And if we could, I was remiss in telling everyone where all of our counselors are at, but if we could talk to have Counselor Jackson give us an update on anything he would like to, and he's in the Capital Projects Office.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Basically, I wanted to start by just giving a shout out to Parks and Rec. No one can understate the work they've done to bring some real organization out of chaos, which it was, and also the support of the staff from the village as well, keeping Ruidoso safe, making it a place where people will want to come and visit. And this is a very unusual environment for sure. And yet some people have really pitched in and really helped it. And I just wanted to thank everybody for their participation. I went out to Grindstone, and I have to say it's very impressive with how clean it is, and it's just inviting. As regards capital projects, I'm still trying to get my arms around hydrology. I did notice that we're down from 50 plus projects down into the 40s. I wanted to also thank our village manager and those on capital projects for making it understandable and for dogging it with the timelines and the explanations that we have on a weekly basis. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. How about while we're there in the same room, Counselor Cornelius?
All right, thank you, Mayor. I've had a number of people tell me how much they appreciated us having a locals day at the lake. So I think that was a great deal you guys figured out. And Councilor Jackson was saying the capital projects team is doing an amazing job keeping everything running right now. Every time we have a meeting, I'm amazed at how many things they've gotten done in the last week or so. And other than that, I'd just like to encourage everybody to be safe out there, and let's make a little extra effort and see if we can't get everybody back open. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor. And now we'll go to, I don't know if anybody noticed, but last meeting, Counselor Coughlin wasn't around or anything, and the meeting went so much quicker than normal. So I'd like to keep on pace because I feel like we're dragging a little bit, but Counselor Coughlin is in the manager's office. It's your turn, Mr. Coughlin.
Well, you see, I had to work last week. I want to say one thing that's happened is today they're connecting water line from the new water tower up on Moon Mountain to the municipal system. And I want to give, congratulations to everybody involved in that. I live up in that area. I got a door hanger. I saw it on social media. I got a personal phone call from Karen as she was calling other residents. It wasn't just me. She was calling other residents in the area. There was a robocall that went out. So it was great notification to everybody to that project was going to happen today, and there was going to be a period of time when we may not have water. So good job on that. Mayor, you know, like I told you earlier, if this mayor thing doesn't work out, you've got a career on radio. You know, I heard you with Dr. Bickert the other day, and yesterday, I think it was, and it was very informative. You know, Dr. Bickert kind of let it slip that more than likely we're looking at a hybrid model for the school year, and that school's looking at starting on August 10th, which is different from what we were originally looking. So I'm serving on the school's logistic committee, helping them with some stuff. And this morning we had a meeting, and I mentioned August 10th, and some of them didn't even know about it. So that was, you got a scoop on that story. But, you know, the thing is that, you know, there's a lot going on. We have to remember among all of this that we are, in the end, we're all still friends and neighbors. There's a lot of disagreements on different things, but you know what? Let's agree to disagree, and we'll move on and stay friends and be nice to each other. You know, we should be hearing later this week, hopefully, what the schools are going to do, because I know there's a lot of parents out there wondering what they're going to do with their children. But you know, we'll get through all this. Unfortunately, it's going to kind of suck, but like I said, when this is all done, we've got great stories to tell our grandchildren. So that's it. I will try to miss more meetings so that I keep you happy.
All right. Just the little things in life, though, make me happy there. Thank you very much, Counselor. Counselor Letterman's in the same village manager's office.
Thanks, Mayor. I don't have a lot to say. I just want to say how much I do appreciate your spot Monday mornings on the radio. I think, you know, having Tim and Ron last week, and given all the project updates to the people, and then this week with Dr. Bickert, I think that's very informative, and I really appreciate that. Just a thank you to all of the village employees for Riddle So Safe. They're doing such a great job. You can't say enough about the hospitality that they present from the village of Riddle. So I was there on Saturday, and everyone is just so nice and informative, and I really do appreciate them giving the hospitality that we really want to exude from our community. And I guess that's about all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Now into the council chambers, Councilor Eby.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I've been pretty busy, so I haven't really had contact too much with the people. So it's a very informative meeting, and it really is just great to find out what all is going on in the village in a positive way, and all the directors and staff and departments, and how much they're really accomplishing in this village, and being very, very flexible in moving with the times and moving with the changes. And Councilor Kaufman is correct. I did hear you yesterday on the radio, and it is with the school year, I guess it still is up in the air because there's nothing really definite and definitive as far as the school. So I did hear Dr. Bickert's talking about that they're still waiting, that there could possibly be some date changes and such. But again, just to say thank you to the administration and staff, and to directors and to the workers out there that are keeping the village going. Thank you very much. So I'm here.
Thank you very much, Councilor Eby. And last but certainly not least, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Salas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. And yes, I agree with every statement that was said on the last month. I am going to complain to Rodney. I went out to Grindstone last week, and my parking space was taken. And it happened to be the director of Parks and Rec truck parked in my spot. And y'all were witnesses from last year when I asked about that, and he told me I would have a spot. So there you go, Rod.
That's probably why he's retiring.
Yeah.
No, but in all honesty, yeah, John mentioned it about the locals on that Friday. Suggestion from my neighbors. A couple of neighbors were over there paddleboarding. They loved it. Everything was great. They just asked maybe during this time when we're charging that every first Friday of the month might be the locals, even if it's just the morning or something. So I said, I'll pass that on. But I haven't had a chance to tell Rodney. Anyway, but everything is really nice in all our parks. And one other kudos I'd like to do right there at the July 4th weekend, we had the overlay of Mescalero Trail and Junction Road. The lines were painted. That was a concern for all the traffic coming in, and it's an excellent job that the road department did on those projects. So, and once again, Eric did an excellent job on that water report. I'm anxious to hear the item on the underground water storage. And in our consent items, you know, we go through them pretty quick, or not quick. We talked about them a week ago, but again, T-Bone has done an excellent job with Keep Ruidoso Beautiful, and to get that $45,000 again, that's a lot of good effort and showing good progress. So again, thank you, T-Bone and the Keep Ruidoso Beautiful Board Committee. That's all I got, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Raffle. And you're absolutely right about T-Bone. He works, he's always been that way, very diligent on everything he does and has done. Okay, we have no public hearing, so we'll move on to regular items. First item for discussion, I think this one's Matt. Discussion and possible action on adoption of resolution 2020-26, a resolution of financial support and funding commitment to the Ruidoso Main Street Association for fiscal year 2020-2021 in the amount of $35,000. Matthew?
Hey, yes, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Mayor, before we move on, is it possible that we handle both these items together? Because one's related to the other. The resolution is related to the next item.
Is that the way we can do it? That they, why weren't they just put in there as one?
I would say you could talk about them together, but we could have two separate motions, because I know we're adopting the resolution and not the agreement.
The MOU?
Yeah.
So
The resolution is just really supporting the second discussion. So if anything, we should have them reversed.
Okay, what's been brought to my attention is that we should really talk about 1 and 2 together during discussion, and then we'll have we'll vote on them separately. But item number 2 is the discussion and possible action on the biannual memorandum of understanding between New Mexico Main Street Program, Village of Ruidoso, and Ruidoso Midtown Association to dedicate collaborative resources, adopt local economic growth and revitalization tools, and establish economic development funding for operations and program implementation to restore economic vitality within the Main Street Economic Redevelopment District from July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2022. Okay, Matt, so that's kind of your job description right in there, but go ahead, sir.
Hey, yes, sir. What we're coming back for this council meeting from last is to extend a MOU that covers a 2-year span effective this July 2020 through 2022. The implementation of the MOU is an understanding really between the Main Street program, the Village of Ruidoso, and the local organization, the Ruidoso Midtown Association. Within the MOU, it really just kind of breaks down each one of the relationships, the relationship from the local government partner back to the local organization and a financial support, as well as this designated New Mexico Main Street program and the technical services that they will render for our our organization. So really the MOU just kind of constitutes the relationship between the three parties. Last month's meeting, we determined a scope of services between just RMA and the Village of Ruidoso. This additional MOU will tie New Mexico Main Street and their resources into kind of our mutual partnership that us three have. So I'm not really sure there. We're doing our annual board meeting is on Thursday, where we'll have all of our final work plans, adopted budgetary constraints, all of the above that will go in guidelines with both of our scope of service and our working MOU with the village. And so I'm excited to roll that out. I think that one thing that I'll do is just connect with you guys after we have adopted all of our plans and all of our promotions. Really everything that we do falls into the 4 stages of the Main Street approach in design, organization, promotion, and economic vitality. So we're gearing up this year to get rocking and rolling, finished up our financial budgets, and we're operating on a operational budget around $120,000 this year. We were down about 30% from last year due to COVID. I was down about $70,000 on special events from this year from last year. So we can really see how we've taken a big hit on our funding source. So going to some new fundraising strategies is going to be the deal for RMA for 2021, 2022. So I'm excited to get it rocking and rolling. We've got some projects in the pipeline that we're excited to roll out as well. I just need to get my board all dialed in here in 2 days, and then we should be ready to rock and roll. I guess really anything else that I would want to say about the financial contribution from the local government is that a small community from $5,000 to $1,500 require a contribution of $35,000, and so we would be at that if we did get that contribution from the village. And then again, the minimum operating budget for a small community for the Main Street organization is $60,000, and we easily double that minimum operating budget. So just know that that $35,000 is going a long ways for the organization. We've had some trials and some tribulations here, and just as everybody has, but they'll continue to make it work and stay resilient. I think really other than that, I'll just stand for questions.
So Mayor, real quick, before any questions, let me just provide a little clarification. So last month we entered into an agreement, and it was for the scope of work that's identified through the workshop process that Matt just discussed. Item number 2 here is the actual MOU between the State of New Mexico Main Street Organization, the Midtown Association, and the Village of Ruidoso that talks about that partnership. Item number 1 is a resolution that shows that the village is making that commitment. So this isn't an additional $35,000. It's just a formal action that the village has budgeted and put aside that $35,000 for the 2020-21 budget year.
Right. Does everyone understand that? Okay, does anyone have any questions for Matt? And Matt, we're all looking forward to the day when we can have the, the events that you were getting going, the Ruidoso and all those things. So I know we're missing it. So we're looking forward to the day we can do that again. So did I interrupt someone that was going to ask a question? No? Did you have anything else, Matthew?
No, sir. Get that survey to you guys on closing down those roads and maybe getting some sidewalk access to our patrons down here. I know that the business owners with the tents are getting set up, and I admire that you guys are taking that step to offer that service to our businesses. And so we'll just, everybody will stay resilient down here. So again, I appreciate all the hard work that you guys have put into keeping us safe down here.
Okay, thank you, sir. Well, if we could get a motion on item number 1 for the resolution.
Mayor, it's Susan. I move that we adopt Resolution 2020-26, a resolution of financial support and funding commitment to the Ruidoso Main Street Association for fiscal year 2020 through 2021 in the amount of $35,000.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please, Bertha.
Sir, Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Item number 2, can we have a motion for that one, please?
Mr. Mayor, Jackson, move to approve biennial memorandum of understanding between New Mexico Main Street Program, the Village of Ruidoso, and Ruidoso Midtown Association to dedicate collaborative resources, adopt a local economic growth and revitalization tools, and establish economic development funding for operations and programs implementation to restore economic vitality within the Main Street Economic Redevelopment District from July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2022. Second.
John. Give it to John.
That was John, I think so, Cornelius.
Mhm.
Roll
Yeah.
call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Thank you.
All righty. Item number 3. Discussion and possible action on letter notices dated June 23rd, 2020 to property owners regarding the acquisition of easements for wastewater infrastructure project. And this one's Zach, I believe. Mr. Cook?
Yes, Mayor, and councilors, so we're sending out these letters to the property owners requesting their easements. I just need y'all to approve the form of the letter.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Cook?
Yes, Mayor, how many letters are we sending out?
Is Karen on the call?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
10 or 12?
Yes, that's correct, Zach. It was 10 letters that went out.
And this was just in this one group that we're working on right now. We wanted to do all of them at one time is the purpose. And the letter, did everybody get a chance to read the letter that's on the attachment?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I don't have an attachment on mine.
Okay. I guess you want me to get you one right quick?
No, I'm just saying I don't have an attachment.
Okay. We have any other questions? Okay.
I move that we accept the letter notices dated on June 23rd, 2020 to property owners regarding the acquisition of easements for wastewater infrastructure project.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Okay, thank you much, everybody. Item number 4, discussion and possible action to determine that the valuations of the easements are correct and fair offer. This one is Zach again.
Thank you, Mayor and Councilors. Part of the federal regulations that we're working with on the FEMA project require the village to hire an expert appraiser. In this case, y'all hired Joshua Cannon and Associates to determine the individual valuations of the properties that were of the easements. And the federal regulations require that the council approve those appraisal amounts. So what we're looking for here is that you guys move to determine that the valuation of the easements are correct and a fair offer.
Zach, if I may, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Just for clarification, this is to make a determination that we're going to be using the valuation process that's allowed for within the federal code of regulations.
Right.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, we need a motion, please.
I'll go ahead and make a motion. I'll move to determine the valuations of the easement are correct and fair offer.
Second.
Okay, we had Joe got the second in. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Everybody sounds tired. I think we need to get up and do the hokey pokey or something. I mean, or a cup of coffee. Something. Okay, next is number 5, discussion and possible action to authorize the village manager to enter into easement agreements necessary to proceed with the wastewater infrastructure project located in or along the Rio Ruidoso watershed, and that the village manager reports the results of the effort in closed session or at a future council meeting dealing with the real property acquisitions. And this one's Zach, and I think we discussed in length why we were wanting to do it this way. Zach, do you have anything to add, or does anybody have any questions for Zach?
Mayor, I think we discussed it at length in the report section with Jerry Paz, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Okay, no, there being no questions, can we get a motion, please, on item number 5?
Mayor, I'll go ahead and make a motion to authorize the village manager to enter into easement agreements necessary to proceed with the wastewater infrastructure project located in or along the Rio Ruidoso watershed, and that the village manager report the results of this effort in closed session at a future council meeting dealing with real property acquisitions.
Okay.
Jackson, second.
Okay, awesome. We need a roll call, please, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, folks. Item number 6, discussion and possible action on quit claim deed to Patricia Ainsa, owner of 2545 Sudworth Drive, for 1,315.6 square feet of undeveloped land by the Village of Ruidoso, property described as Lot 29, Block K in Ruidoso Springs subdivision.
Mayor, Samantha will be covering this one.
Okay, Samantha?
Mayor, members of the council, this property owner has requested to purchase 1,315.6 square feet of our parking lot. It's off of Center Street. It's undeveloped. Their intentions would be to put a retaining wall and bring in some fill dirt to create 2 parking spaces for the newly remodeled Adkins building. I'll stand for any questions that you all may have. The plat has been presented to all of the utilities and the internal departments, and we have signatures authorizing that there wouldn't be any adverse impact of the replat.
Mayor, Zach, can you point out a statute that allows us to do this type of a direct private sale?
Well, if you give me a minute, I don't know what the statute is off the top of my head, but there is a statute that allows this.
Zach, I have the state statute from our previous discussions you and I had. It's New Mexico 13-6-2. The sale of property by state agency or local public bodies, authority to sale or dispose of property, and approval of appropriate approval authority.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? I think we've reviewed this one and think it's best for all involved, really. Okay, no more questions, comments? How about a motion?
Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Jackson, move to approve quitclaim deed in to Patricia Dianza, owner of 2545 Sudworth Drive for 1,315.6 square feet, undeveloped land by the Village of Ruidoso, property described as Lot 29, Block K in the Ruidoso Springs subdivision.
Second, somebody? Who is it? Susan?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius, Counselor Cornelius,
I'm staying.
Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
All
All right, moving on to item number 8, discussion of possible action on change order number 1 and 2, IFB number 2020-002B with Cherokee Enterprises, Inc. for Alto 2 well, H 1979-S7 improvements, requesting an extension 80 days to September 23rd, 2020, and increasing the contract amount by $7,416.67, excluding gross receipts tax.
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am?
You missed that you skipped item 7.
Did I?
Yes.
I sure did. Okay, I'm moving back to number 7.
You had that authority.
Yeah, well, we can go ahead and do number 8 because they gave me the authority to move it around. He's right. So sorry about that. Is that one Eric?
Yes, Mayor Crawford and councilors. This is change order number 1 and 2 for the Alto 2 well. If you remember from the workshop, we are extending the contract on by an additional 75 days due to material delays caused by COVID-19. And we had the attached letter from the material supplier expressing their issues they had. And then there was an additional, so that was for 60 days. And then there was 15 days added for the delays caused by the Army Corps permit, the change from the nationwide permit 14 to the nationwide permit 18, which required a biological assessment and was a little bit more in detail for the application process. For change order 2, we are memorializing field change number 1, which there was some complications with the pitless adapter that was at the well. The work wasn't thoroughly documented, and so we didn't spec it out correctly. So they had to excavate out some additional area to cut off the casing, and in that area was a substantial amount of concrete that they had to break out. We also have 20 feet of the pipe, distribution pipe that's coming from the well that needs to be replaced. We tried to salvage as much of the existing infrastructure as possible, but unfortunately this segment of pipe wasn't buried deep enough. And so we need to replace it to get it to the 4 feet deep, and then that will line up with the Eagle Creek crossing better. And then the final thing is we're extending the riprap on the splash pad for the discharge pipe at the request of our water production operators that were concerned that about possible erosion at the decant basin. And those 3 projects together are combined an additional 5 days, so it's an 80-day extension. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Eric. Does anybody have any questions? He explained it pretty well. No? Okay, can we get a motion for approval, please?
Mayor, I'd like to move that we move on to change orders number 1 and number 2, IMB 2002B with Cherokee Enterprises Inc. for Alto 2 Well H-1979-S7 improvement requesting an extension 80 days to September 23rd, 2020, and increasing the contract amount by $7,416.67, excluding gross receipts tax.
Second.
Okay, we have a second from Joe. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now I'll be moving back to number 7. Item number 7, discussion and possible action on memorandum of understanding between the Village of Ruidoso and the County of Lincoln for the provision of regulation services of residential and commercial construction within certain specified areas of the County of Lincoln. And is this Sam?
Yes, Mayor Crawford, councilors. This is the same agreement from the prior year. The MOU hasn't changed. Just for clarification, because it came up during the workshop on item 2B under prerequisites, the paragraph in its entirety states that if we lose a discipline inspector such as plumbing, after 60 days we should notify the construction industries division as well as the county. And at that point, the CID would pick up that discipline until we're able to fill the position. Once that position's no longer vacant, then we would take back over inspecting for that position. The way my department operates right now, if we have an inspector that will be out for, say, a week on vacation, we communicate that with CID and they will do the inspections during that time frame. So 60 days is pretty extreme. That I don't see that ever happening, but you never know. But I'll stand for any questions you all may have pertaining to this MOU.
No questions?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve memorandum of understanding between the Village of Ruidoso and the County of Lincoln for the provisional regulation services of residential and commercial construction within certain specified areas of the County of Lincoln.
Second.
Okay, Susan's the second. Roll call, please, Bertha.
Yes, sir. Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. I believe everybody has a handout for this next one, item number 9. Discussion and possible action on task order RFP 2018-001P-24 with John Shoemaker and Associates, Inc. for underground storage and recovery, USR, pre-application permitting and pilot project in the amount not to exceed $247,421.03, including gross receipts tax. Mr. Boyda?
Mayor Crawford, councilors, I brought in Roger Peary to give a presentation, but before we start, I just wanted to remind the councilors that this project that we're doing is explicitly listed in the comprehensive plan. And so we're actively moving towards developing this process, and it's going to improve our ability to conjunctively use our water right portfolio. And that means when we have surface water, we use our surface water, and then when we don't have it, we'll use groundwater. But this presents us an opportunity to possibly expand the benefits of our surface water, because oftentimes the surface water is available when tourism is at its lowest in town. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Roger Peary, our hydrogeologist, and he's got a short presentation he'd like to give everyone about the process.
Thank you, Mayor, councilors. If you don't mind, I'll go ahead and start this presentation now. I hope you all can hear me fine.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, the USR, underground storage and recovery, is also referred to aquifer storage and recovery and a number of other things. And the village started looking at this in about 2005. So it's been coming around about every 4 or 5 years in some fashion or another. But the primary objectives, as Eric mentioned, are to use your water conjunctively, use the surface water when you have excess available to store it into the ground, and possibly in the future also use it as a potable reuse project if you ever go to treating water and scalping plants or the wastewater treatment plant. Ultimately, it'll keep more of your water in the aquifer and reduce the need to go after any additional water rights. And some of the primary things you really have to think about when you start heading down this path is you have to look at areas where you can store the water where it's not lost to the river. So if you're very close to the Rio Ruidoso, let's say at the Hollywood or Cherokee wells, for instance, the water would just almost instantly just leave whatever you stuff into a well, into the ground, inject in, would almost instantly leave and go into the river and just increase the flows in the river. And so you also want to be away from there, but you also want to be in areas where you can control your water both geologically and keep it away from wells of other ownership. You know, a domestic well is not a big deal, but if you've got a large pumping well from a nearby user, you don't want them taking advantage of the wet water that you put back into the ground. In some areas, particularly if you're going to conjunctive use, where you're putting surface water into the ground, you can really improve water quality. The total dissolved solids concentration, or the mineral concentration you have in the water from the Alto system, is quite low. It varies during the time of the year, but let's just say it's somewhere on the order of about 500 milligrams per liter from the Eagle Creek well field and other sources. When you compare that with the water quality that you have in the high school area and the Gavilan Canyon wells, the total dissolved solids in that area is about 1,500 milligrams per liter. So it provides, by putting this fresh water into the ground, or I should say water with less minerals in it into the ground, it provides you an opportunity to create this freshwater bubble and put better water quality into the system in those areas for the community. It also helps maintain aquifer levels because you're continually putting water into the ground and then eventually pulling some of it out. You can't get 100% out, but normally you can get an 80 or 90% back out of the system. And you really have to perform this in areas where the geology lets you keep control of it. So this image that I'm showing you here.
Roger, your PowerPoint's not being shared right now.
Oh, it's not being shared?
Yeah.
Well, heck. I'm sorry about that. I'll chalk that up to my inability to do these things quickly. So how about that?
There you go.
All right. There we go. So this is just the summary of what we were just talking about here. This map is an air photo showing you some of the wells you have in the area. If you look at the upper left corner of the map, that's some of the wells in the lower portion of Eagle Creek. And the central portion of the map, any of the wells in that central portion of the map, and then of course the lower right, anything with an H272-anything is wells that the village owns. And so we've looked at quite a number of these over time, and they have common names like H272S3 is the Upper Gavilan, S4 is middle, and S9 is the high school. So just to let you know where those various features are. Now, this is something I wanted to relay about the geology. As geologists, we certainly like to use different colors for different rock types. So that pinkish and red color on the left, upper left and left central portion of the image, it represents volcanic rock. So you have the Sierra Blanca volcanics where all of your Eagle Creek wells are completed, at least on down to the area around the Alto Reservoir. Then the geology changes. The yellow are just very short sediments, shallow alluvium that don't matter. The dark green and the light green off to the center and right portion of the image are Cretaceous rocks that are sandstone and shales, and then the light gray and the blue rock colors to the right are the limestone aquifers that give you a lot of water, except by the river they have poor water quality. So the geology is complicated. If you look at all those dashed and straight lines, those are all faults in the area. And what happens with faults is the earth moves past itself up and down or left and right or both. And then I also have two lines on there. They're pretty heavy. They kind of go from upper left to the lower right, AA prime and B prime. So what I want to show you is what we understand the rocks to be underground and why it's important to look at where wells would be completed. So those green rocks or green colors on the upper left portion of the image are mostly shales. They're kind of a dark shaly material like you see over in the Alta Reservoir area. And your H272S2 well is completed in that. Not very good water quality, and the water's quite shallow there. Then as you move to the central portion of the image, you'll see a vertical line that's at a little bit of an angle. That represents a fault where the rocks on the right side are moved up relative to the rocks on the left. And you have a couple of 272 series wells completed over there, also screened in different aquifers, even though they're about the same depth, the middle Gavilan and the lower Gavilan Canyon, both in that kind of that PG rock, that limestone rock there. And those have really high yields, but kind of poor quality. And as we move to the south, to that BB prime line I was showing you, you can see how complicated the geology starts to get. So this fault in the center there, you can see how offset those rocks are by nearly, 500 to 700 feet. The rocks on the right side of that vertical line in the center are moved up relative to the rocks on the left. So what we're trying to find is area, and then on the far right, you have all those vertical lines where the faults are just going crazy over there. So what we're trying to do is target productive aquifers where you can put water in the ground and pull it out readily, and where it doesn't move quickly to the river system. So we've identified a couple of areas for you. This center portion over by S5 and S8, and on the previous image, the 272S3 and 4, the middle Gavilan and the high school well. Those appear to be good areas to do an aquifer storage and recovery pilot study, but it'll depend on the kind of infrastructure that you have in place to get the test water there and perform that work. So the process is a fairly long process in terms of permitting, mostly because of the state engineer and environment department permitting issues. So first thing to do is to determine which well works best for the village, both in terms of the hydrogeology, which we have a pretty good handle on, but also which works best to get the water, the injection water to the well for the study. The state, I'd be shocked if the state doesn't make you put in a minimum of 2 monitoring wells to check the water quality changes as you inject water into the ground, and to check how the water mounds and moves away from the well, and ultimately how it gets recovered. Certainly would need some kickoff meetings with the state engineer's office and the New Mexico Environment Department. So the state engineer's office would be the one that permits with respect to putting water into the ground and taking it back out, how much you'd be allowed to do, and they would be the ones that would review the work and the modeling and that sort of thing. And the Environment Department would have to do with water quality issues, water permitting, to make sure that the water going into the ground wouldn't cause an adverse impact on the existing water quality. And so once we have this kickoff meeting, the state engineer's office really requires a full-blown plan to be submitted as what they call a pre-application process. But in actuality, it's really a full pilot plan that would describe all the methods, what would be going on with injection, what kind of monitoring would be performed, both from a water quality and a water level perspective, and where your monitoring wells would go, how many there would have to be, and where they would be placed. And then once they go through that process and review this preliminary application plan, it's really, like I said, it's the final plan. Then you're allowed to, if they approve it, to go forward with piloting. Generally, a pilot test is just seeing what happens as you put a smaller amount of water than would ultimately be planned for into the ground and how you recover it. And so we would propose to do that kind of work and write the specifications for new monitoring wells. And a lot of baseline sampling would have to be done, both from water level and water quality analysis, routine sampling for laboratory analysis for water quality throughout the project, and then throughout the 30-day injection period. And then subsequent to the injection period, there's a pumping period back from the well that you inject into to actually see how the water quality changes and water levels change. That information is ultimately put into a model to show how much water you're actually getting back, whether it's 70%, 80%, 90%, whatever that number turns out to be. And so that's a general process for doing USR project. And I just wanted to let you know that it's a little long and complicated, and it just can't be done everywhere within the village. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Mayor, I have a
Go right ahead.
question for Roger. Roger, if I heard you right, you were saying Middle Gavilan and High School well is our best possibilities for pumping back out, injecting in that area?
We've identified a couple of good areas. Those are certainly good. The aquifer properties are good in terms of you can pump a lot of water from those locations. The High School well has some limitations getting back into the system in terms of you have the really high line pressure over there. I think it's nearly 200 PSI that it has to pump into. But the pumping rate there is quite high. And then with Middle Gavilan, that's a pretty small diameter well. It was redone as a test well to see what's over there, but a larger capacity well there could also produce lots of water. So those are really good places. Other wells we identified were S8 and S9 over by the golf course. So that's a general area that I think you would have to stay to be able to control and contain your water.
Yeah, I favor that S5 because that'll just help out Box Springs quite a bit. Correct?
So so far what we think is Middle and Lower Gavilan, S8 and 9, and the other wells, S272, the other golf course area wells, we don't think that those will work too well for you because water table's shallow in some of them, and then the geology's not conducive to getting water in quickly and out quickly in some of the others.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, my pleasure.
Roger, I've got a question for you. So the water being injected, is that raw water or treated water?
It would have to be treated water. Okay. The state essentially wants you to put in drinking water, quality water, and it would also have to have a chlorine residual, so it'd be treated water.
Okay, and then just by the term pilot study, I just want to be clear, this is something that's been done in other areas. And when we're talking about pilot, this is just to see if this area would work for us, right?
Sure. Yeah, this has been done in other areas. It's nothing new under the sun, except it's new to your area. So just need to get the data to make sure it really works and how much water you get back out of the system.
Okay, and there's one more question. Another way that people sometimes interpret what's being told, you had mentioned something about to see if the return, basically, that may not be the word you used, would be somewhere between 70 and 90% of the water that's injected back into it. But if we don't inject this water, that's basically water that's just going downstream anyways, correct?
That's correct. The really nice thing about it from a water rights standpoint is some years when you have a lot of water on Eagle Creek, for instance, you don't have the demand for it when you have the water, so you can't really use it all in a given year. This would allow you to take that water that you have a right to consume, put it in the ground, and pull it out later on in the year.
And at that time when we pull it back out, it doesn't count as well water or surface water because we've already accounted for it?
Yeah, you've already accounted for the water rights portion of it. Okay. And even if, I'm sorry, Counselor, but even if you were theoretically able to get 100% out, my opinion is the state engineer would never give you 100%. You know, there's an extra tax on there somewhere.
Integrate.
Anything else? Okay. Does anybody want to offer a motion?
I move that we accept task order RFP 2018-001P-24 with John Shoemaker and Associates, Inc. for underground storage and recovery, USR, pre-application permitting and pilot project in an amount not to exceed $247,421.03, including gross receipts tax.
Second.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. I wasn't sure who the second was. Cornelius?
Yeah, John. Good, John.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Counselor Letterman?
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius?
Aye.
Counselor Savas?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, this will be exciting.
Thank you. Very exciting time.
All right. Thank you very much, Roger.
Thank you very much.
Item number 10, discussion and possible action on task order RFP number 2019-008P-03 with Ye and Associates, Inc. for Grindstone Dam Drain Cleaning Project in the amount of $73,382, excluding gross receipts tax. And I think Randy Kane is on this one, and he did some nice photographs that I hope everybody got to look at, so could just make you more familiar. Mr. Kane.
Good afternoon, Mayor Crawford, council members. I'm Randy Kane, Water Production Manager. This is for task order number 3 for Ye and Associates. It is for the Grindstone Dam Cleaning Project. One thing I've got to apologize. I had the wrong dollar amount. I had $73,382, but there was a slight oversight because I didn't include travel and per diem for Hutton and Water Right Engineers, and it was an oversight on my part. But the total amount is not to exceed $80,068, excluding GRT. And it's basically for the travel and per diem. It's $5,817 for Hutton Consulting, and then $869 for Right Water Engineers, which comes out to $6,686, plus the $73,382 equals $80,068.
Okay.
And upon approval, I would correct the task order and put in the correct dollar amount. there was a small chart that I missed, and I put the $73,000 amount, which I thought that was the total, but I apologize for that.
Was that due to COVID?
No, it was just,
I was just curious. Everything else we blame on COVID. Go ahead. But
yeah, not this time,
not
Mayor.
this time. Okay.
Basically, this project is, it's gonna be for, surveying the drainage gallery, which, they'll locate the 10-foot stations and then take 3 different shots across the floor of the gallery. And, at each station, and they'll capture the high and the low points. They'll survey the drains in the floor and the ceilings. And they'll prepare a topographic map showing all the high points and the low points. And then they'll put together a technical memorandum with grading recommendations for the drainage gallery. And they'll prepare detail and guidance for the construction of the removable weir that's going to measure the drainage before and after the cleaning project. Then they'll prepare plans and specs for the project. It's going to be divided up into 2 construction phases, grading the gallery floor and to promote drainage towards the gallery entrance. And that's a critical piece right there, because if we don't have the drainage, it's going to be hard to find the drains with up to 2.5 feet of standing water. And the second part is going to be cleaning up to 109 drains in the gallery and the gallery floor and the ceiling. And then they'll provide engineering support during construction. And then they'll perform a post-construction survey of the drains located during construction. And then they'll prepare as-built drawings.
Okay. And I see the other pages you've got on that additional breakdown. And we have the vehicle mileage at 58 cents a mile. Is that right, Judy? Is that what we pay?
So those are set in the contract. So whatever the contract says is what we pay for the mileage.
Okay. And it's got $20 a day, or, for, our $20 is the unit rate for tolls. What is that about?
What was that again? I'm sorry.
On the travel and per diem cost, they've got tolls in there at $20 each, times 4 for $80. I just wonder what tolls there are.
$20.
It looks like this is maybe a little boilerplate stuff that they threw in, but
Oh yeah, I think it is. It seems like that would be if they encountered tolls.
Where are they coming from?
And I guess they have an estimation of 4.
Okay.
And then what I did is I put up the drawing of the dam and the gallery. And can everybody see the drawing?
Yes.
And then it basically shows right here is the gallery entrance. And if you looked at some of the pictures, it's pretty rough conditions inside. And it shows like 36 drains that are vertical that go through the roof. And then there's a bunch located all across the drain or the gallery. And it's pretty tough conditions inside. There's a lot of slips, trips, and fall hazards. There's let me see. It's a confined space, so they're going to have confined space permits and all the equipment. So, and it's not an easy site to survey also. Visibility is going to be tough. Not only headlamps will be required to the darkness, but the line of sight is very limited. There's a lot of obstacles inside and, you know, standing water. So it's not an easy area to survey.
Okay. So
yeah,
on this Hutton group or whichever one, I'm trying to look at it now. I mean, on their costs breakdown, you know, for example, they'll say pre-construction camera inspection of drains, on-site construction monitoring during drain cleaning, and post-construction camera inspection of drains. And then it says, assumes 1 trip and 12 days for pre and post inspection and cleaning of 109 drains. So they're expecting to get that done in 12 days. So this will be something that we'll have to really stay on top of, because it looks like they're, you said it was not to, it was a maximum of 80,000, not to exceed, I think is what you said in the contract.
Yeah, 80,068, not to exceed.
Not to exceed. So that's going to lock them in. So if they come back with extra days or whatever, they're going to stay within that 80, or is it going to open us up again to change orders?
No, we're going to definitely try to keep them on track, and seems like these guys are pretty good to work with so far.
Okay.
And they do understand, you know, the village doesn't have an open checkbook, so they are trying to keep the cost down when they can. So I've kind of really preached that to help keep the cost down.
Okay. Is it, or are you going to be, I know that we've got people that'll keep these projects on paper, but will you be the on-site individual, or who will we have out there?
No, I'll be the insight.
Okay.
Because I've worked with them, you know, from the starting of the project. So
okay.
I've got a pretty good working relationship with all the subcontractors and the prime.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions of Randy? Okay, if not, can we get a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor Jackson, move to approve task order RFP 2019-008P03 with EA and Associates Incorporated for Grindstone Dam Drain Cleaning Project in an amount not to exceed $80,068, excluding gross receipts tax. Second.
Okay, that was Cornelius. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Okay. Item number 11, discussion and possible action on task order RFP number 2020-004P-01 with Armstrong Consultants, Inc., for professional engineering services on project part 139 markings update at the Sierra Blanca Regional Airport in the amount not to exceed $32,900, including gross receipts tax. Is this Ron, or is this Joe? It's Cody.
Chief. Mayor, Councilor, Manager Dodge, thank you. This task order for Armstrong Consultants, part of the state aviation grant for the inspection we had to complete the project of the markings on the runway and the taxiways to be compliant. This is the portion for the consultants at $32,900. This is part of the $200,000 grant, which is all paid by state aviation, 100% zero for the village.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Okay, sounds pretty good. Thank you, Chief. We just need a motion, please, on item
Yes, sir.
number 11.
Mayor, I'll to approve task order RFP 2020-004P-01 with Armstrong Consultants, Inc. for professional engineering services on Project Part 139 markings, update at the Sierra Blanca Regional Airport in an amount not to exceed $32,900, including gross receipts tax.
All right, thank you, sir. Need a second, please?
Second.
Okay, that was Susan. We'll need a roll call, please, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin, oh, I'm sorry, Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Now we'll move from the previously mentioned consent item number 13 to regular item number 12. And this is the adoption of resolution 2020-25, a resolution amending ordinance 2014-06, Village of Ruidoso Personnel Policy, Chapter 4, Positions and Pay, Section 6, Callback, and Chapter 6, Employee Benefits, Section 7, Holidays. Okay, Judy?
Mayor and councilors, this is an update to actually make it a little bit more clear in the personnel rules and regulations on how we are paying our employees for not only callback, but on holiday. On callback, a lot of the directors, when they were submitting time, they were paying all callback hours at the premium time and a half. However, in the personnel rules and regulations, it had said only the first 2 hours. Therefore, in order for us to follow our rules and to be in compliance with payment, we decided to update the rules to allow premium pay for all hours is concerning holiday pay. It was a little confusing on the wording and how you would interpret. Therefore, we decided to take a stance that each employee will be paid 8 hours of pay, whether you're on a 40-hour week, whether you work 8 days or 4 days, you're gonna get the 8 days of holiday. And then if you're a fireman, you would get the actual 24. Then if you are working on that holiday, you will actually get paid for those hours at the corresponding FLSA rules. So if you were in a situation where you had worked 40 hours during the week, then you would get paid at time and a half for those hours. If not, you would be paid at straight time.
And what was it before?
It was hard to decipher or interpret. There were some people thinking that you should get double time for everything. But the rules didn't clearly state how we should pay. So we were kind of guessing. Some people were at time and a half, some were at double time. So in order to make it even across the boards, we figured this wording would be easy to interpret and everybody would understand.
Judy, read the current language so they can see how, how it reads.
Okay, let me get it. I didn't have it in front of me. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so get rid. Okay. Do you want me to read the callback or the holiday?
Is it possible for you to step in here? You're kind of choppy on the sound.
Sure. Okay, hold on. Let me get in there.
Jeffrey, does she have a microphone anywhere over there?
Over here?
Yeah.
I think if she just comes up like right in front, she can pick up, it picks up pretty good. We tested it earlier.
Yeah, she'll be here if she.
Right there.
Yeah, keyboard.
So do I just get rid of?
Yeah, you can talk into that microphone if you want.
So on the holiday, it just read, when the employee is required to be on duty during a paid holiday, they shall receive holiday pay computed at the regular rate plus 1 times the base rate for all time worked on the holidays.
That's clear as mud, so it's, okay.
So an employee will automatically get paid the 8 or 24 hours of holiday, and then if they work on that holiday, let's say they work 8 hours, depending on if they have 40 hours in a week worked already, then that time would be at time and a half. If they,
So they're gonna get paid for the time anyway, for a holiday, if they take it, and then if they end up working it, they'll get paid, so they're actually getting time, double time and a half.
only if they're in a situation where they've worked the required numbers of hours, 40 or 106 for a firefighter. And holiday isn't considered hours worked. So technically, the first 8 hours of the holiday worked would be at straight, and then if they worked any other hours over that, then that would be at time and a half. So you are correct. The first day would be technically, if you added it together, would be.
Well, technically, it really is. I mean, they're getting paid holiday pay at 8 hours. And if they work, whereas in the past, I was understood that they got paid double time for working. They didn't get paid triple time. They got paid double time. So now we're paying them 2.5 times.
No, I think they're paying them they called it a holiday premium.
Yeah.
So on some occasions, I thought of it almost being triple time.
Well, I mean, what she just said was they're working their regular hours and it's vacation pay. So they're getting paid for being gone. They're taking vacation pay. We're paying them to go. Christmas, whatever. But if they get called into work, then we're paying them time and a half on top of that vacation pay.
So let's look at a couple of different scenarios. Say an employee works a regular 40-hour week. So, but then you have a holiday that falls on that regular. So they're going to work 32 hours, time work.
Right.
And then they're going to get 8 hours of holiday pay.
Right.
If they get called back, to work and say it's 4 hours, this 4 hours would still be at regular pay. So they'd only be getting paid the regular pay plus the holiday pay. Okay, but for some reason, say that they ended up working 40 hours and then they got 8 hours of holiday pay. If they got called back, this 4 hours would be a time and a half. So you'd end up with 6.5 hours.
Is that the way you understand it? Okay. Is
So-
that clear to everybody?
So another one is like on this one, it's just saying, irregardless of the holiday, they get 40 hours holiday pay. And if then, just like if you didn't have holiday, the holiday wasn't involved, say it was just a normal, it was time worked. If you work 40 hours, then your 41 hours and above is at time and a half. Okay.
Right.
But if for some reason you took vacation or sick leave and you only worked 32 and you had 8 hours of sick leave or vacation or holiday, that's not time work. So the time and a half doesn't kick in until you have that 40 hours time to work.
Okay.
That's
So
what's being
have to
proposed.
work that 40 hours before you can get time and a half. You have to physically work 40 hours before you get time and a half.
Yes.
So if you have a holiday, you work 32 hours, but you get called in and let's say you work 9 hours. So 8 hours will be just regular time, but that 1 hour will be time and a half.
Correct. Yep.
And the way that the policy currently reads now, what they were doing, or what they were saying is that, and I don't even know how the heck you calculate that, but it says your base rate, how does it read again?
Computed at the regular rate plus 1 times the base rate for all time worked on the holiday.
See, and I don't understand, your regular rate plus a base rate, or one, it says your regular rate, okay, what's your regular rate? Say it's $10 an hour times 1, which is 10.
10.
Plus, or
Plus 1 times, so it's your regular rate plus 1 times the base rate.
Plus 1.
Plus 1 times the base rate. So it's double. I think that's what it was trying to say.
Okay.
Why does it say base rate and regular rate?
I don't know. And in
times
our,
one?
unless it's asking,
So-
like if you have incentives, maybe that's, your base rate is X, I don't know.
So
Who knows
what they,
it was.
the way that I think that was being interpreted is that if an employee worked on a holiday, and say they put in 12 hours, they were receiving their regular pay plus an additional 12 hours of pay. Irregardless of they were computing the holiday pay not to be 8 hours, they're computing it to be 12 hours.
Okay.
And anywhere else that I'd ever worked, you just get a straight 8 hours of holiday pay. Unless you're like the fire department that's getting you're on a 24-hour shift.
Okay. Is that clear, Susan?
Do what?
Did that clear
I'm
it
sorry.
up? Did that clear it up for you?
Clear as mud.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and ask a question about callback pay. So callback, it says that they're going to pay the premium pay, which is 2.5 times the regular rate. So let's assume that employee only worked 4 days that week because they took Monday off, and then on Thursday or Friday they're working and they get called back. So they haven't worked 40 hours, but they still get time and a half for being called back after the regular shift.
Yes, that's callback pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make that clear. I'm used to, if you haven't done your 40 hours, you don't get time and a half until after the 40 hours.
Yeah. And I've seen it work both ways, and that's why I wanted to bring in, have this discussion with the council, because, FSLA is actually, you have to pay when you're, over that. It doesn't say that you can't. So if you offer that as a benefit, that you're doing that, it's when you worked at least 40 hours, then you have to pay. That's the standard. It doesn't say if you work 32 and then you get 8 hours of vacation that you can't pay that. It's actually, you have to pay over 40.
So it's a may pay if you've worked under 40, and it's a shall pay if you have worked over 40.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
You're giving them something more, you're not taking it away.
So what do you think about that, Councilor Coughlin?
Well, if that's the policy, then that's policy, as long as we're all clear on it. I mean, that's, like I said, it's not something I'm used to, but if that's the policy, that's great. And especially, I think it said, oh no, we took out the 2 hour minimum. So if they go out and they only work for an hour, they only get the premium for 1 hour, right?
Yes. Is that right?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we took out the 2 hour minimum to go out. Now, the one thing that I think I've heard in the past, there was some discussions about on-call pay, and I don't see that being addressed. Is that resolved, or is that still an outstanding issue for the future?
What kind of people?
On call, that they have to be carrying a phone or whatever around and can't leave the county or whatever.
So they have standby pay already,
So it's
in
addressed.
the policy separate, and they get X amount of dollars, whether it's in the weekday and then a different amount for weekends. And they get that, fixed amount per day that they're on standby.
Okay.
And is that standard among all departments, or is that by department?
No, we are making it standard across all departments.
Okay.
And Judy,
because that's where,
do we discuss this with directors? I'm sorry, Counselor.
The standby pay?
I'm sorry, Counselor.
Go ahead, Coughlin, you did continue on.
No, I just, I just wanted to make sure because, there was, in the past, I believe I heard that there was discrepancies by department. So as long as we're moving to something where it's consistent for all of our employees, they're all being treated the same, then I'm good with that.
And Mayor and Village Manager Tim, we did have that discussion about standby pay across the board at our last department directors meeting. And we identified departments that weren't getting paid standby.
Okay,
So that comes to us as a separate resolution.
is that coming back as a separate resolution?
It was already included in the personnel rules and regulations. So now
we
we're
just-
just enforcing it across the board.
Okay, did you catch that?
No.
It was already in the personnel, manual, and we just hadn't been enforcing it across the board. Now
Oh.
we are.
Thank you.
Okay. So we just need,
Mayor, just real quickly, one thing that I just wanna kind of put out there, because we're talking about pay and stuff like that too. One of the practices that we've seen in the past, and it came as a surprise to me, is we're cutting different checks to different people, and that's one of the things that we're gonna stop. You wanna explain that a little bit, Judy? I think we should stop it, but it's something that they've offered in the past.
So, I believe, Mayor and Village Manager, councilors, in the past, employees were given the option to have their, direct deposit of their payroll check, not only to one account, but we could pay a mortgage, we would send money to a garnishment, as long as they had a checking account number and a routing number, we could send monies to however many people that the employee had designated as getting paid. When we had the little snafu with payroll this past week, we noticed that there were some direct deposits to accounts that weren't in the names of our employees. Therefore, I believe that's a liability on the village manager, so I have brought it to Tim's attention that we should only be depositing into one account for each employee. And nowadays with online banking, e-bills, payment, the mobile apps with banking, we shouldn't be responsible for doing the banking of our employees. That should be on their side. So I had asked him if we could do an audit of all our employees' direct deposits and ensure that we are only depositing their payroll check into one account that is specifically owned by that employee.
well, what do you do about court mandated child support, separate maintenance?
So anything that's on a garnishment that is covered by the state, we actually get paperwork that comes from the state and tells us, cut the check to the state. So we might have 15 employees that have a state garnishment, and we submit one check to the state for them to disperse.
Okay, so we will continue
We will
doing that.
continue that. How anything outside of a garnishment, a net check to an employee, I would like to send to one payroll
So
account.
can you give me an example of that? Like what, paying someone's landlord or something?
Or a mortgage, so say you had a Gateway mortgage and you have Gateway's routing number and their account number, we would set up a portion of your payroll to actually pay your mortgage instead of you going and physically doing it yourself.
And I know.
Somebody had an agreement with, maybe, some kind of dispute that was handled civilly, and they decided, well, I'll pay you $100 out of my paycheck, give me your account number and your routing number, and I'll have my payroll department send you $100 every paycheck.
Okay, does anybody on the council have any comments or discussion?
So Judy, on the ACH direct deposit paperwork, do we require the employee to provide a voided copy of a check or a bank letter?
Going forward, we will. I have not looked in the payroll files as to what we used to require employees to submit. A lot of our employees have been here for years, and so we are going to do a fresh new form just to make sure that the employee submits a cancel check or something to prove the account.
Okay, yeah, that's what we do, and that way it also allows us to verify that account number is correct that they wrote down. But that's another way that we can be certain that their account is actually owned by them.
Yes.
It's just kind of a strange practice that we kind of saw. I never understood why we do that, but.
I'm not sure either. That was for my time.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on this one? Okay, can we get a motion on item number 12, formerly number 13, consent?
Mayor, I'll move to adopt resolution 2020-25, a resolution amending ordinance 2014-06, Village of Ruidoso Personnel Policy, Chapter 4, Positions and Pay, Section 6, Callback, and Chapter 6, Employee Benefits, Section 7, Holidays.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Solis,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson. Counselor Jackson.
You're on mute. Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Judy.
Sure.
Thank you.
Now then, we'll move on into our closed session. So that I can we get a motion to move into closed session, please?
Mr. Mayor Jackson, I move, that we move into a closed session for discussion of purchase, acquisition, and or disposal of real property and or water rights by the Village of Ruidoso, statute 1015-1H8, and Mexico statutory authority 1978.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Solis,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Now we'll move into closed session. So we'll lose the folks that are in internet land. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back.